all around Tampa Bay, plus worldwide on iHeartRadio.
The gloves are off. I'm playing hardball. It's 4th and 15, and you're looking at a full court press.
You're tuned into the voice of the Tampa Bay sports fan.
You're going to like this guy. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us.
Buckle up, because you're on the drive with TKras. Afternoons on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
Welcome aboard on this Let It Ride Thursday. Good afternoon, Tampa Bay. The Drive with TKras, presented by Moss Nissan, is on the air. Great to have you with us. Executive producer Chris Mathis on the other side. And, of course, you there. We are live in living color, don't you know? And 95.3 on the FM side, the mighty AM 620. And don't forget to download the iHeartRadio app for free. It's new and improved. We just upgraded it. It's awesome. There's a scan feature on there. There are presets on there, so you can favorite your radio stations that you want to listen to, like you can favorite WDAE. You can also favorite your free podcasts on there, like the Drive podcast, commercial-free podcast of this hideous show can be accessed through the new and improved iHeartRadio app. Take us with you wherever you might be headed. Crystal clear reception through the app. It is a beautiful thing, so download it now. And good afternoon to all of you watching us. We are streaming the show on YouTube, Facebook, and X at 953 WDAE and AM 620. Like and subscribe all day, every day. The phone numbers, you know them, you love them. Now use them. 888-546-4620. So call up, get off social media. Stop being a hateful troll. Call up. You know what? Get on the phone, all right? Because some of you are too content. I don't know what you do all day if you do anything, but you're there on social media. You know, you're tweeting, whatever it is. You go on Instagram. You make an ass out of yourself. Call me up here if you want to talk. A lot of you delusional people out there. Get on it. 888-546-4620. You can text in at 82945. Begin your text with DAE, followed by your comments in 140 characters or less on the Bartow 4 DAE text platform. And all guests will appear via the Central Florida Behavioral Health Network DAE hotline. What a big show. Every week, every day is a big show. Got a couple of big guests that will join us. Bucs, Commanders. We're getting closer to game day. NFL Wild Card Weekend. Can you feel it? Are you excited? We know Coach Bowles is excited. Are you anxious? Are you nervous? Or all three? Or all of the above? We're going to get into the matchup. Rick Stroud, Tampa Bay Times at tampabay.com. He'll be with me at 4:05. And then at 5 o'clock, we're going to go behind enemy lines. Bram Weinstein, who is formerly of ESPN, he is the radio play-by-play man for the Washington Commanders, and he will join the show. So what are we getting? What's different between opening day when the Buccaneers beat up on the Commandos and now? I think a lot has changed for both teams. The Commanders are 12-5, so what makes them tick? Honestly, I think they're a year ahead of schedule. I did not expect them to go 12-5 in year one with a new owner, new GM, new head coach, a rookie quarterback, the number 2 overall pick. So I think you have to admire what the Commanders have done in year number 1. I think they're a year early. And we'll talk about that with Bram Weinstein. He will join me coming up just after 5 o'clock. We've got Let It Ride at 5:30. Oh, gosh, there's so much to get to. So many things to wager on. I know Chris Mathis is so excited about Let It Ride at 5:30.
What am I not excited about, Tom? I mean, I'm always excited to get on these airwaves with you.
Well, I don't know, yeah.
Are you professional or not?
Are you professional?
But some could argue yes, some could argue no.
Well, definitely no when it comes to me. But we've got the college football playoff semifinal, game number 1 tonight between Notre Dame and Penn State. We'll be talking about that on Let It Ride. Lightning and the Bruins tonight at Amalie. We'll be talking about that on Let It Ride. So many things. By the way, Penn State, Notre Dame, Orange Bowl tonight, right here on DAE at 7 o'clock, right after we get off the air.
I can hear you.
No, thank you, Eric. And you can listen to all the play-by-play action. You can hear it all right here on WDAE. So we'll have tonight's semifinal. We'll also have tomorrow night's semifinal between Ohio State and Texas right here on our radio station. So it's a beautiful thing. So we'll have Letter I coming up at 5:30. We'll take you all the way up until 7 o'clock. I'm excited about NFL wildcard weekend, the college football playoffs. I mean, starting tonight, tonight, tomorrow night, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, for the next 5 nights, you've got playoff football taking place in one way, shape, or form. College tonight, college tomorrow night, NFL Saturday, NFL Sunday with our Bucs against the Commandos. And then, of course, NFL Monday night, Vikings-Rams, really intriguing matchup there. There is so much news off the field in the NFL that we're going to get to, including something is percolating in Sin City. And we'll get into that, too, coming up in a matter of minutes. We'll take your phone calls and texts. So much to do, so much to talk about. Buccaneers, Commanders. Can the Buccaneers and their top 5 offense continue their winning ways? Will Liam Cohen calling the shots, at least for the moment? That is the theme of our opening drive.
Start the engine. Gas to the floor. Here's the opening drive.
And ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to announce that our opening drive is sponsored by the award-winning Chattanooga Whiskey 91. Yes, my guys over at Chattanooga Whiskey are back. Available at your favorite Tampa retail store. Drink Chattanooga Whiskey, and as always, enjoy responsibly. So we want to welcome Chattanooga Whiskey back to the fold. And, a lot of you have been drinking some Chattanooga Whiskey based on what you've been saying on social media. And look, the Buccaneers have an interesting quandary, if you wanted to even call it that. This has been the hot topic of conversation. Not Bucs Commanders. The hot topic of conversation is the offensive coordinator of the Buccaneers, Liam Cohen, getting some looks from other teams in terms of head coaching possibilities. And a lot of you are very quick to kick Todd Bowles out the door, even though there's absolutely no justification for that whatsoever. And you want to anoint Liam Cohen to the head status. I think that is preposterous, if not, wrong. Todd Bowles has been here 3 years. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the Bucs have won the division 3 straight years. Just the NFC South. You can't control what division you're in. They're in the NFC South. They've won it 3 years in a row. And the wins have progressed upward from 8 to 9 and now 10. So they made the playoffs 3 straight years. It was a playoff win last year. They're in the playoffs again, despite, and look, a lot of teams go through injuries, and the Buccaneers have gone through a lot of injuries. Their best player on defense really hasn't played a factor at all this year. And that's Antoine Winfield Jr. And hopefully the Buccaneers get him back on Sunday. When the injury report comes out, we'll let you know what that looks like. But yesterday, the Buccaneers had a walkthrough. Had they practiced full, Antoine Winfield Jr. would have been a full participant. So that's a great sign. It looks like he'll be back. And I think he's a difference maker. If you look at that secondary, 3/4 of that secondary did not play against the Saints. But let's blame Todd Bowles anyway. You had guys like Ryan Neal and Kayvon Merriweather at safety. Josh Hayes was at corner. Zion McCullum was the only starter out there. And yes, in the first half, it didn't look great. But in the second half, as we've seen the last 5 weeks, the second half of games is where the Buccaneers are making it work. 9 points, that's it, combined have been scored in the second half of these games. That's it. Because adjustments are made. Furniture has been moving. And they're doing whatever it takes in the second half defensively to get it done. And since week 12, I gave you the numbers. The Bucs are among the league leaders, number 1 against the run. They're in the top 3 in scoring defense as well. And they're also one of the highest blitzing teams, too, really all season long. But since week 12, it has really gone up to another level. Now, will they do that against Jaden Daniels? I think they will show Jaden Daniels some looks that he didn't necessarily see in week 1. You're going to have to do that, and Todd is really good at that. He'll bring 6 guys to the line of scrimmage, and it's up to Jaden Daniels to find out, okay, who's coming and who's dropping back into coverage. And I think he's going to see several different looks coming up on Sunday night. So this will be an interesting chess match. But everybody just wants to elevate Liam Cohen and kick Todd Bowles to the curb. And I just think that's irresponsible. It is. There's no justification for firing Todd Bowles right now, as much as a lot of you want to do it for whatever reason. 3 years, 3 division titles, 3 playoff appearances. So what's the problem? Yeah, defensively, there are some issues. There's no question. Is he a great head coach? No, he's not Andy Reid or Sean McVay, but then again, who is? There are some things that I've criticized Todd on, so I don't completely 100% defend him. There are some things that he doesn't do well, like not going for 2 in Kansas City, the timeout usage, game management. All of those things are things that he needs to work on in a serious way. But, if Liam Cohen gets a job elsewhere, then he gets a job elsewhere. There's nothing you can do about that. And here's the thing. All right, I talked about this yesterday here, and I also talked about this on the TV side last night. We're on Spectrum Sports 360, on Bay News 9. Ronnie Lane and myself were on there last night. We were talking about Liam Cohen. And is he an innovator? You betcha. And there's no question this offense is one of the best, if not the best, offenses in franchise history. There's no doubt. And Liam Cohen is a big part of that. But if he decides to go elsewhere for a head coaching job, there's nothing you can do. You can give him a fancy title. You can throw him some more money. But in terms of being a head coach in the NFL, there's only 32 of those jobs available. And if Liam Cohen gets an opportunity, I think personally he would love, I think his dream job is the Patriots head coaching job. Would that materialize for him? I think the Pats want Mike Vrabel. And I think there are some other teams out there that want Mike Vrabel. We know the Jaguars are one team already that has requested permission to speak with Liam Cohen. And Liam Cohen, by the way, met with the media today, and he was asked about the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he was asked if he's interviewed yet with Jacksonville. Here's Liam.
Nothing yet, just have the one request. That's all I'm aware of at this moment. So that's all I've got going on right now. And as much as it's an honor to be even in that category, but that hasn't been something I've worked on much over the last few days. It's an honor, but not something we're thinking about at the moment.
The only thing we're thinking about is the Washington Commanders and winning this game and trying to make a run here in this postseason. So at some point, Liam Cohen is on that trajectory to being a head coach in the NFL. And if he leaves, he leaves. Look at the 2 years that we've had, the last 2 years. Dave Canales was hired by Todd Bowles, by the way. A lot of you won't even give him credit for that, but that's all right. Don't let facts get in the way now. So Todd Bowles is hired. Dave Canales, boom, head coach after 1 year. Liam Cohen, there's a shot that he may be a head coach after 1 year. And if he leaves again. By the way, he's not taking Baker Mayfield with him. He's not taking Tristan Wirfs with him. He's not taking Luke Gedeke with him, or Mike Evans, or Bucky Irving, or Cade Otton. Those guys are staying. This offense is loaded from top to bottom. Would they take a step back? Probably, but you still have wonderful players, impact players at premium positions, quarterback, left tackle, right tackle, center, running back, Bucky Irving, phenomenal, 4th-round pick. And he's still going to be phenomenal. He's got talent. He's got it. Baker is now your franchise quarterback that you've been looking for. And kudos to the Buccaneers. And by the way, Todd Bowles went out and handpicked Baker to be his quarterback. This is a history lesson because a lot of you, apparently, I don't know, you short-term memory loss. You need to be reminded as to why things are the way they are. Todd Bowles got Baker Mayfield here because he wanted him here, because he wanted him in the 2018 draft when he was with the Jets. A lot of you forgot about that. No, let's just fire him. 3 straight years in the playoffs. Let's just fire him. He's hired Dave Canales. He found Liam Cohen. Fire him. Unbelievable. And let me just say this. If Liam Cohen does take a job elsewhere, then guess what? Do you know how many viable candidates will be lining up around the block to be the next offensive coordinator for the Buccaneers? Viable guys. Because they know 2 things. One, there's great talent here. Franchise quarterback, tremendous O-line, Hall of Fame receiver, wonderful running back, maybe the steal of the draft. The talent is here for any offensive coordinator to come in here and do some dirty work. And number 2, and probably more importantly, they know whomever that new OC might be, if Liam Cohen does leave, that next guy coming in here knows that being the offensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is a fast track to being a head coach in the NFL. Those are the facts. So if Liam Cohen leaves, goodbye, good luck. Wish him the best of luck, whether it's Jacksonville or New England or wherever. And there's a chance Liam Cohen takes a look-see and maybe goes on the interview with Jacksonville. And if Trent Baalke, their GM, is still there, like, he could absolutely say, you know what? I don't feel comfortable. Thanks, but no thanks. And he can await another opportunity. And if it comes here for whatever reason, great. And if it doesn't, he'll wait for another one down the line. I think the Patriots' job is the job that he really wants. But if he does leave, it's not going to be gloom and doom because there is still incredible talent offensively. And the next offensive coordinator, I'm telling you, man, you're going to have guys falling over themselves wanting to come here and run this offense with Baker, Wirfs, Evans, Bucky, and the rest of the gang. Because they know there's talent here. And they also know it's the fast track to being a head coach in the NFL. 888-546-4620. Text at 82945. We'll talk to Rick Stroud at 4 o'clock. Bram Weinstein at 5 o'clock. We've got Let It Ride at 5:30 as we'll take you all the way up until 7 o'clock. But for the moment, Liam Cohen is preparing for the Washington Commanders. And, of course, we know Bucs and the Commanders, they met in week 1. Both teams are vastly different from that week 1 matchup. And Cohen was asked today about how the offense has improved since that week 1 matchup against Washington.
You look at that game, we ran it okay, but we struggled at times. Their front is pretty solid. And, they got a good defense in general in terms of, especially in that front 7, right? And I think we ran it okay. Just maybe we sprung a few late, which were good. We had a couple 4, 5, 6-yard runs. We've probably run it a little bit better at this point.
Yeah, they are running it just a little bit better. I mean, you're talking about, a top 5 running game after they were dead last in each of the last 2 years. And, it's a top 5 running game for a couple of different reasons. Obviously, what Liam Cohen has brought to the table in terms of his run game concepts, you can't ignore them. He's very creative on that end of it. And they've improved their talent. First-round pick, Graham Barton. Bucky Irving, running back, round 4. Tremendous. And Jalen McMillan is getting a lot of pub, obviously, for what he's doing in the receiving game. He's got 7 receiving touchdowns in his last 5 games. But what he's also doing well is he's blocking in the run game as well. The receivers are blocking well. The tight ends are blocking really well as the O-line. So all of that, when you combine all of it, it's turned out to be a really successful and intimidating running game. One that can travel anywhere. When you run it as well as the Bucs do, when you stop the run as well as the Bucs do, and when you throw it all over the place as the Buccaneers can do as well, that's a formula for success, especially in the playoffs. Run the ball, stop the run. You got a quarterback who can extend plays, off-schedule plays like you saw in the touchdown to Jalen McMillan. The Bucs can score with anybody. So I think this is going to be an interesting game on Sunday night, and one in which I think the Bucs do have an advantage. Now, could the Commanders come in here and win this game? They could. We'll talk to Bram Weinstein. We'll go behind enemy lines just after 5 o'clock. But I think the Bucs are a 3-point favorite, and I think they should be a 3-point favorite. And even though the Commanders have a better record, I think the Buccaneers are the better team at this point. All right, take a couple of phone calls here on this wonderful Thursday. 37 degrees, by the way, this morning. Phenomenal. Alex is in Tarpon Springs. He kicks us off. Good afternoon, Alex.
Hey, TKras. Great to hear you. And this week is so fun. I think I might be the only remaining Washington team that calls this radio station. But I'm just going to ask you this, building up to this game on Sunday night. I don't know if Tampa Bay fans realize, but Washington in the playoffs, 4 of their last 7 playoff games have been against the Bucs. The Bucs are the only team in history to face Washington when Washington was the Skins, the football team, and now the Commanders. Okay, Washington is going to become the league-leading playoff opponent inside of Raymond James Stadium on Sunday night. They're going to make their unprecedented 3rd trip for a playoff game there. So my perspective as a Washington fan is that Tampa Bay is a big playoff rival for us, certainly in the last 25 years. I know you're the voice of Tampa Bay sports, and I love listening to you. Do you think the Bucs fans view Washington as a playoff rival, or are they just busy winning so many division titles lately that they don't really view them that way? I'll hang up and listen. As always, TKras, have fun on Sunday night. I can't wait.
I can't wait either. Thank you, Alex, very much. Really appreciate it. I don't think Bucs fans view Washington as a playoff rival. But you're right, and I hadn't thought about that. As the Washington football team, as the Commanders, as the Redskins from back in the day, yeah, there have been quite a few playoff matchups. The Super Bowl year back in 2020. I remember an empty stadium in Landover where the Buccaneers beat, I think they were called the Washington football team at the time.
Taylor Heineke.
That's right, Taylor
Heineke. He had a pretty good game. He had a pretty good game.
He played his butt off that night, and Brady and the Bucs were just a little bit better. So really interesting stuff. Let's go to Nick in Palmetto. Nick, what's going on?
Hey, TKras. I was listening on the iHeart yesterday, and I wanted to put my 2 cents into the Cohen situation. I think we can all agree that Jason Light is one of the best GMs in football. I think that Cohen definitely has a Ben Johnson type of thing where he's going to look. I don't see a job that, I get what you're saying with the Patriots. And the Jags are obviously his the favorite to get him. But, really, I don't see it. I just think that you got Jason Light probably is going to sit there and go to him and be like, hey, look, everyone on offense is signed. Every starter is signed. All we got to do is get Godwin back, and I'm going to get him back. Let me get an offseason with the defense. Let me fix this up. Let me get this defense set. Todd Bowles obviously already got a Super Bowl with the defense as the defensive coordinator. So you give him some pass rushers, you give him some corners that can actually do something instead of being on the bench injured. You're talking about jumping this defense to maybe a top 15 to a top 10, and then if we maintain a top 5 offense, we're one of the most dangerous teams in the NFC, if not the NFL.
I agree with you.
If we were and if we were to go, that year could be our year. And if we were to go to win a Super Bowl the next year, if not this year, next year, I think Bowles, he's been talking about retirement. He's older. I feel that man would love to go out on top, go win a Super Bowl. Because, not bad coaches, but average coaches get to Super Bowls. Look at McCarthy. He got there and won one. With a great quarterback. But, if he was able to go out on top, I think he would retire, and then Cohen could then transition into the next head coach, and it would make all Bucs fans happy, and then everyone can stop talking about how much they hate Bowles and want him fired. You know what I mean?
I just think it's silly talk, and I appreciate it, Nick, and you know what? That's a scenario that may very well play itself out. It's possible. And I think it's possible that Liam Cohen says to himself, while he's preparing for this week's game, by the way, and talking to his agent like, I'll interview with Jackson. And he should interview. And look, this is in every walk of life. If somebody calls you in for an interview for a job that, you probably say to yourself you're not going to get, I think it's always beneficial to go through with the interview process because you can always learn some things about questions that they may ask you and that you may ask the person that's interviewing you. I think it's highly beneficial to go through that interview process, whether it's any profession, radio, whatever, healthcare, the law field, or football. So I think Liam should go on that interview, even if he's lukewarm about taking the Jacksonville job because the owner is a little off-the-wall wacky. And there's a GM in place that maybe Liam Cohen is not comfortable with, and Trent Baalke. And maybe Liam says, the only job I will leave the Buccaneers for is the Patriots job because that's my dream job this offseason. Otherwise, I'll just stay put. And you know what? God bless him for that. I would agree with that sentiment. I think the Patriots job, by the way, with all due respect to the Bears, I think the Patriots job is the best job. Because you've got your quarterback, you got Drake May, you've got Christian Gonzalez, you've got a couple of premium positions already checked. A number 4 overall pick and $130 million in cap space. I think that's a really good job. Really good job, as much as it pains me to admit it. More of your calls. Dave, Todd, KJ, you guys will be up next. 888-546-4620. Text at 82945 on the Bartow 4 DA text platform. We'll talk more about this. Rick Stroud at 4 o'clock. Bram Weinstein on the Commanders at 5. Let it ride at 5:30. All right, on the way back, some interesting things happening around the NFL. Something just took place in the last hour that really piqued my interest. There's something brewing out in Sin City, and our good friend Tommy Boy is right in the middle of it. What is he up to? We'll explain. More NFL next.
You're locked in to The Drive with TKras.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is The Drive, and it is presented by our guys over at Moss Nissan, where the goal is to never lose your business over price. Chris Mathis is also here alongside, and guess what? If you're looking for a car in 2025, and look, you're talking about the holiday hangovers, credit card debt, guess what? Moss Nissan, our guys, they've got the cure, Chris Mathis. What is it?
Yeah, they do. Here it is. No money down, Tampa Bay, plus no payments until the spring.
Are you crazy? That is awesome. By the way, I bought my last 2 vehicles over at Moss Nissan. I'm proud to say I do have Moss Care, too, that comes with every purchase, lifetime oil changes and tire rotations for as long as you own the vehicle, Chris Mathis. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and what more could you ask for when you're looking to go purchase your new or pre-owned vehicle? You get all of that while selecting from the largest Nissan inventory in Tampa Bay.
They treat their customers great. The sales department is outstanding. The service department is exemplary as well. They've got 3 locations, so check them out. Tampa, Newport Richie, or Brooksville. Or you can hit them up online at mossnissan.com. That's mossnissan.com. Moss Nissan, whatever.
Ross Nissan, only on WDAE.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you keep going each and every week and see what happens, but I do believe that these guys know, like, we're not surprised to be in the position we're in. Yeah, some things had to go our way in some ways for us to get here, but we've earned the right to be here. And we've played some darn good football a lot of times this year.
That is Buccaneer offensive coordinator Liam Cohen. He says that the players are thinking Super Bowl, of course, to get there. Let's win Sunday night first. Wild card weekend is almost here. Buccaneers and the Commanders on Sunday night at 8 o'clock. We can hardly wait. Welcome back. 3:35 on your ride home. The Drive with yours truly, Tom Krasnicki. You got Chris Mathis on the other side. Your phone calls coming up, 888-546-4620. As we are just getting started, we're here until 7 o'clock. A lot to do. Rick Stroud at 4 o'clock. Bram Weinstein, the Washington Commanders play-by-play guy, will join us at 5 o'clock. And we've got Let It Ride coming up at 5:30. All right, some breaking news out of the NFL. So this situation came about as we were getting ready to do the show. So the Raiders are an interesting team. They fired Antonio Pierce, if you noticed, a couple of days ago. And then today, they fired their general manager, Tom Telesco. You know who's in charge, right? Everyone wants to say it's Mark Davis with his awful haircut. But I believe that Tom Brady really has a prominent voice in the things that are taking place out with the Raiders right now.
Oh, so what's the question?
The question here, Tommy boy, is what are you up to? You just fired the GM after you fired the head coach. Are you looking to get your boys back together again? Mike Vrabel immediately vaults to the top of the class for the Raiders. Let me just say this. Mike Vrabel is in a great position. You want to talk about somebody who's in the driver's seat? It's Vrabel. Because literally everybody wants that guy. That's why Bob Kraft fired Gerard Mayo. I think this is why Antonio Pierce got fired by the Raiders. He's already interviewed with the Jets. Bears are interviewing him. Mike Vrabel, we talked about this 2 weeks ago, he is the number one candidate. You can say Ben Johnson, this guy, that guy. Liam Cohen is a hot shot candidate as well. But Mike Vrabel is a proven guy. And a guy who cultivates that winning culture because he came from New England. He played with Tom Brady. So it just seems possible if you start connecting the dots that the Raiders are going to make a big push for Mike Vrabel, with Tom Brady obviously being the guy who is going to be the main recruiter. Now, our own Greg Allman from Fox Sports, and look, you got to leave it up to Greg. I mean, you know, he's got his paintbrush out, and he's always connecting the dots. And he mentions on X just a few minutes ago that John Spytek, the Buccaneer assistant GM, who is getting an interview with the Tennessee Titans for their general manager opening, could be a candidate for the Raiders job because once upon a time, he and Tom Brady were teammates at Michigan many, many moons ago. And, of course, Spytek and Brady won a Super Bowl here in Tampa before Brady retired, took the TV job, and now bought into the Raiders. So maybe keep an eye on John Spytek, according to Greg Allman, in terms of getting a GM interview. Look, this is what happens when you win. But a lot of you are saying the Buccaneers are mediocre. You know, mediocre teams don't have assistant GMs interviewing for general manager jobs. Mediocre teams don't have hotshot offensive coordinators who are going to be interviewing for head coaching jobs. That doesn't happen to mediocre teams. You freaking people. And the Bucs are a good organization. I don't know. You haven't noticed. They didn't go up there and tell you. They've turned into a good organization. And now they're starting to create coaches. And Todd Bowles, and I never thought I'd hear myself saying this, there's like a little coaching tree that is starting to form under this guy over the last couple of years. He hires Dave Canales. Dave Canales gets a head coaching job after 1 year. He hires Liam Cohen. Liam Cohen may very well be in line to be a head coach somewhere sooner rather than later. Sean McVay loses guys all the time. But the Rams are a good organization. They reload, whether it's Kevin O'Connell or Matt LaFleur or Jed Finch or Zach Taylor. They always have guys waiting in the wings. And that's been the case here with the Buccaneers the last couple of years, too. But I think Brady's up to something. And Mike Florio just put out an article, and he was with me yesterday here on the show. Mike Florio is going to go as far as to say that he thinks Brady wants Bill Belichick in Vegas. Now, Belichick has got a $10 million buyout by June the 1st. $10 million until June the 1st. After June the 1st, the buyout drops down to $1 million. So we'll keep a close eye on that, but it appears that there's going to be some sort of Patriot connection that goes down in Vegas, whether it's Mike Vrabel. And I would be really surprised at Bill Belichick. And look, $10 million, I don't know how much money Mark Davis has, but the Raiders would have to write that check and buy out Bill Belichick, who just got there. And if you're Bill Belichick, I mean, why did you move that quickly? You knew that teams are going to be calling you. And yeah, he did the Iranian salute because he felt like teams were bad-mouthing him, that he was getting a bad reputation or whatnot, and he jumped on the North Carolina job, which everybody, you, me, everybody, even Barrett Sallee said it yesterday. I mean, everybody said that that's not a great fit, and yet Bill Belichick did it just as a screw you to everybody else. And now all of a sudden there are teams that want to talk to him. I don't understand why he jumped at that job, man. Back to the phones. KJ is in Wesley Chapel. Good afternoon, sir. What's going on?
All right. How you doing there, Tom?
Great.
Hey, listen. All right, man. I was just kind of listening to you here with the upcoming wild card game. I'm extremely concerned with our defensive backfield, in particular, number 32. I know he's a rookie just coming in, but, boy, he's going to be ice cream all day Sunday. If I'm Washington, I'm picking on him from start to finish. And the thing is this right here. We have always had problems with mobile quarterbacks. Daniel is a major, major dual threat that if we're trying to blitz him because we can't get pressure, man, he terrifies me getting out of the pocket and in open field. And then also I think it's Ernst, the tight end. We've had issues with tight ends too. So that team I just don't like our match. Even though we beat him, and like I say, he was a rookie quarterback, he is totally different now.
He's special.
So we're gonna have to really play a super game. Our defensive front got to get pressure. I'm not a big fan of the blitzing the linebackers and dropping the defensive tackles in the quick zone games to try to defend that. But hey, we'll see what happens. But I just, like I said, our defensive backs, man, I'm extremely concerned with them and the tight end giving us problems.
And I think your concerns are warranted. I appreciate the call, KJ. Enjoy the game on Sunday evening. And look, the Buccaneers have had a lot of injuries back there. Now, thankfully, it looks like Antoine Winfield Jr. is going to be back, so that's going to help. Josh Hayes did get beat for a few plays, but I thought he competed really well as well on Sunday. He led the team in tackles, which is, both good and bad as a corner. That means you're getting a lot of action, right? But, yeah, we should be concerned. Jaden Daniels is a special player. He's special. I'll tell you this about the Commanders. They're not running the ball against us. Nobody's been able to do that. With Vita Vea and Kalijah Kancey on the inside, good luck. And the only way to beat this team is by throwing on them. And I think they will have varying degrees of success with Terry McLaurin, who's a dangerous player. And the Buccaneers hopefully will limit those big plays down the field. But I think the edge players, Yaya's playing really well over the last 2 weeks. I think he's starting to turn it up at the right time, which is a good thing. NFC Defensive Player of the Week. And on the other side, Anthony Nelson, JTS. You're going to see more of Shaq Barrett. I think Shaq will play more snaps this week. You got to be able to contain that edge against Jaden Daniels. You can't let him get outside, extend plays, because then a lot of bad things can happen. 888-546-4620. Text at 82945. We'll talk to Rick Stroud about all things Bucs and Commanders at 4 o'clock. Bram Weinstein, Commanders radio play-by-play man at 5 o'clock. When we come back, Dave, I'll get to you from Hudson. Plus, there's breaking news on the Rays. They're doing some business today. It has nothing to do with the roof being blown off or anything like that, or pissing matches with local politicians. This is actual baseball news with the Rays. And we'll tell you what that is coming up next.
You're locked in to The Drive with TKras.
Guys, whether it's an injury accident, product liability, medical malpractice, Social Security, disability perhaps, if any of these things have happened to you or someone you love, you need to get on the phone, which is what I did when I had my injury accident, and call my guys over at Catania and Catania, the personal injury law firm that's been doing their thing here in Tampa Bay for the last 30 years. They don't get paid unless you get paid, and they've been getting a lot of money for their clients. Almost $1 billion with a B has been successfully recovered by my guys over the years for injury victims just like you. So they've had my back. They always check in on me. I'm grateful to have them representing me. And should the worst occur to you or someone you love as a result of someone else's negligence, call on my guys over at Catania and Catania. Here's the number. You may want to copy it down. Just save it into your phone because you might need it one day. 813-222-8545. That's 813-222-8545. Or get a free evaluation of your case online at CataniaandCatania.com, where they put let's fire the head coach for no reason. Some of you are freaking spoiled. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Some of you are spoiled and delusional. But that's neither here nor there. This is real life, what's going on in Southern California. People's homes being burned to the ground. And there's nothing you can do about it. Just awful. There's news on the Rays, and this isn't awful, I suppose, because we're talking about the Rays. We're not talking about, the front office or Rays officials sniping at politicians or vice versa. We're talking about actually some baseball. So the Rays have a number of players who are arbitration eligible, and today they agreed to terms with 4 of the 5 arbitration eligible players. Starting pitchers Shane Baz and Zach Littell have agreed to terms, as well as left-hander reliever Garrett Clevenger and our guy, catcher Ben Rortvedt. So good for Ben Rortvedt. He had a good year. Danny Jansen was added, so that's a pretty good platoon now that the Rays have at catcher. Right-handed hitting Jansen, left-handed hitting Rortvedt. Now, there is one player who is taking them to arbitration. Infielder Taylor Walls is like, you know what? I think I'm going to take my chance with arbitration. And Taylor Walls is going to try and win against the Rays. Remember for the longest time that, people couldn't win arbitration battles against the Rays? Now in recent years, there have been a few guys that have won some cases here and there. But for the longest time, it was a no-win scenario for a lot of players. So I find it interesting that Taylor Walls, of all people, is going to try and take the Rays to arbitration. Uh-huh. Yeah, good luck with that, Taylor, with your 183 batting average. I don't know. Yes, Eric Neander. That hearing might last maybe 5 minutes. I don't know.
Even though you
No, that's not what I'm doing. Is right. That's not what I'm doing. So Taylor Walls is taking the Rays to arbitration. Best of luck to him. I hope he wins. Well, I don't think he will. Dave is in Hudson. Dave, what's going on?
How you doing, guys?
Great.
Hey, Tom.
Great. Yes.
42-10. That's what I see. 42-10, 42-17, the Buccaneers. I think it'll be a blowout. I really do. My question to you is, is the second game. If they play the second playoff game at home, they'll win back-to-back games at home. But if they play the second game away and lose, would you consider this a successful year for the Bucs? That's one. And finally, offensive coordinator. If I'm the ownership of this team, looking at the team as it is right now, I would think they would be crazy. I want him to go for interviews. I get it. But if I'm the ownership, I would try my best to keep everybody on board, because next year, this team is absolutely capable of winning the Super Bowl. I really think they'll be one of the favorites next year.
Well, if they concentrate on the defensive side, Dave, and I appreciate the call. Look, and I think Jason Light and the Glazers will get together, and let's play this season out, this postseason, and see what they do. 42-10, that's rich. I don't see that happening. Blowout? I would love it. Obviously, it'd be nice to have a nice, easy game, but the Commanders are coached well. They've got a dynamic quarterback. I think there'll be some scoring in this game, but 42-10 is...
Yeah, and typically Dave is not very optimistic about this Buccaneer team. I mean, we're talking about a guy who wasn't so high on Mike Evans a couple of weeks ago right here on this very program. So to say 42-10, 42-17, I don't know what's changed.
Listen, I don't know. Here's what I do know. I think the Bucs and the Glazers will have a conversation with Liam Cohen. Maybe throw him some more money. Hey, maybe you can stay. We would love to have you. And maybe it would behoove Liam Cohen to to stay as well if he doesn't get the opportunity that he wants. I think the only opportunity that he wants, that he's dreamed of since he was a kid, and he talked about this many moons ago, is the Patriots head coaching job. He was a huge Patriots fan, huge Brady fan growing up. Went to UMass, is a Massachusetts native. I think that's his dream job. And we'll see what the Patriots end up doing. But the Patriots and the Raiders, it looks like, are going to be in a bidding war for Mike Vrabel. Now, if Mike Vrabel does end up going to the Raiders, and the Raiders are doing some things there with Tom Brady running things, then maybe the Patriots do pivot. Now, Ben Johnson is going to interview with the Patriots. Ben Johnson's got some interviews lined up. And I just think that, he has made it clear that he's only going to interview in jobs that he's interested in. So let's just keep an eye on what Ben Johnson ends up doing, because a lot of people have him as, maybe the number one head coaching candidate when it comes from an assistant point of view. Ben Johnson's got 2 interviews tomorrow morning with the Patriots, and then tomorrow afternoon with the Raiders, virtually. And then Saturday he's interviewing with the Bears and the Jaguars. Wow, he is interviewing with the Jaguars. Well, look, I know that GM is still there. I think if Ben Johnson goes in there and tells Shad Khan, listen, this guy, if you want me to take the job, I'll be your coach. This general manager, though, he got to go. And I think Trent Baalke would be gone. Shad Khan would be an idiot not to listen to him. 1 hour's in the books, 3 more hours to go. Coming up, Buccaneers and Commanders. Can the Buccaneers make a postseason run? Might we get some injured players back for this game on Sunday night? What about Liam Cohen? Is he going to stick around, or will he take another job? A lot of questions. Rick Stroud, Tampa Bay Times, TampaBay.com. He's got some answers, and he will join me coming up next.
Tampa Bay Sports Radio, 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
It's playoff time, and it's now or never. Don't miss out on the last few weeks of football season with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the playoffs. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. The app is really simple to use. Pick 2 or more players across any sport, pick more or less on their projection, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money. Prize Picks now offers MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. Join Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, available to play in more than 40 plus states.
radio station. It's Thursday from Wesley Chapel to Fishhawk and all around Tampa Bay, plus worldwide on iHeartRadio.
The gloves are off. I'm playing hardball. It's 4th and 15, and you're looking at a full court press.
You're tuned into the voice of the Tampa Bay sports fan.
You're going to like this guy. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us.
Buckle up, because you're on the drive with TKras. Afternoons on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
Nothing yet, just have the one request. That's all I'm aware of at this moment. So that's all I've got going on right now. And as much as it's an honor to be even in that category, but that hasn't been something I've worked on much over the last few days. It's an honor, but not something we're thinking about at the moment.
Bucs offensive coordinator Liam Cohen is a head coaching candidate. The Jaguars have requested an interview. He talked about that today, and he says that's the only one that he knows of as of right now. He is hard at work getting ready for Sunday night's playoff showdown. Buccaneers and Commanders, 8 o'clock at Raymond James Stadium. Welcome back. Good afternoon, Tampa Bay. Hour number 2, The Drive with yours truly, presented by Moss Nissan. You got Chris Mathis on the other side. 888-546-4620. More of your calls and texts coming up. The 4 o'clock hour is brought to you by our friends over at Pin Chasers, Bowling, Food, and Fun. Boy, it's been a fun ride for the Buccaneers. How long will it last in the postseason? And is Liam Cohen going to be around in 2025? I know a lot of Buccaneer fans want to see Todd Bowles kicked to the curb for whatever reason. Let's talk about all of the pressing issues with the Buccaneers right now. He's with me on the Central Florida Behavioral Health Network DA hotline. Learn more at cfbhn.org. You can read him, Tampa Bay Times, and at tampabay.com. Rick Stroud is back with me here on the program. Rick, good afternoon, sir. How are you, buddy?
What's up, TKras? Happy postseason.
Happy postseason. You know, the Buccaneers are in the postseason for the 5th straight year. Todd Bowles has been the head coach the last 3 years, 3 division titles, yet fans want him fired. You know, I'm sure you're getting that on your social media platforms. Mm-hmm. And look, you talked to Liam Cohen today. You heard what he had to say. There's at least one team interested. Maybe there's more. But what's your best guess in terms of Liam Cohen and whether or not you think he'll be here next year or not?
Yeah, you know, it's hard to say. I think at this point, because they're in the playoffs, all he could do is a virtual interview starting last Tuesday. And so I guess they've opted not to do that yet. They'll see what happens maybe this week. Maybe he's doing something on the weekend, because the team is in the playoffs. But, you know, right now he's obviously focused on just trying to come up with a game plan to beat the Commanders. And that's really all he can do. It's all he can control. I think the Jaguars are interviewing everybody but me and you. So, you know, it's going to be a process. And the other thing about it is that, you know, what the Bucs have hope, and I've written about this in the Tampa Bay Times, is that, you know, that Liam is 39 years old. And, you know, he doesn't have to be in a rush to be a head coach. These are really hard jobs to turn down, though, Tom, let's be honest. Mm-hmm. You know, there's only 32 in the world, and you don't know when you're going to get another opportunity. And Jacksonville, you know, while I don't think many coaches will be thrilled with the prospect of Trent Baalke, but I watched Chad Kahn say on a Zoom call with Baalke next to him that he was asked, hey, if somebody wants to, you know, bring in a different GM or not work with this guy, he goes, I'll be open to anything. Like, okay, the guy's sitting next to you. But anyway, I do think that when they talk to Liam, he's going to interview very well. I would be surprised if he doesn't get an interview with the Raiders because of Tom Brady. He's met with him 3 times already before the game. We know what Liam thinks of Brady and how enamored he is. This was his childhood hero growing up playing quarterback, wearing number 12 at UMass. You know, so that's going to be one to watch, I think. And they just, you know, they've just fired their GM. So I think Brady has an influence. But beyond that, man, you know, last year at this time, I think people were lamenting the loss of Dave Canales, and they found a Liam Cohen. And you know, all I would say is that there are very bright coaches out there, and this team has a lot of talent. And if I'm an offensive coordinator and the last 2 guys became head coaches, I think I'm running to the Bucs right about now. So we'll see what happens, but he's in a good position, and I don't think he's in a terrible hurry to leave, but we'll see.
And, Rick, I said the exact same thing on TV last night, and I said the exact same thing at 3 o'clock. The Bucs are loaded with talent. Liam Cohen may take another job, but guess what? Baker Mayfield's here. Tristan Wirfs is here. Luke Gedeke, Bucky Irving, Mike Evans. There will be no shortage of guys that would love to come here because of, A, the talent that's here, and B, you want to be a head coach in the NFL? Being the Buccaneer offensive coordinator is a fast track, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, look, winning is the common denominator, and for all those, and you're right. I'm on social media. God help me, but I don't understand sometimes what Buccaneer social media is all about. But I would just say this: I've done this forever, Tom, and the thing is, this team has never won 4 straight division championships, and there's very few teams that have. They've been to the playoffs 5 times in a row. That's the most in the NFC, I believe. And when you throw in the Super Bowl with Tom Brady, we are currently living in the golden age of Buccaneer football. That might be hard for fans to believe that are spoiled, that have been around for about 10 minutes, but it's true. And and I would just say that you just don't toss the baby out with the bathwater. I mean, is Todd Bowles everything you want in a head coach? Maybe not, but you know what he does? He wins football games, and I would rather have a team that has a chance to get into the playoffs every year, win the division, and then sooner or later maybe you break through. Now, we talked about this as well. The Glazers have fired better coaches than Todd Bowles. They fired Tony Dungy. He's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. They fired John Gruden. He brought him a Lombardi trophy. I have my theory about Bruce Arians, but he's not here either. So, I mean, at the end of the day, coaches are hired to be fired, right? And so one day all you guys are going to be right. But I don't think that's today, and I don't think that's this year.
Well said. Rick Stroud is with me, Tampa Bay Times at TampaBay.com. All right, let's talk Bucs and Commanders. Sunday night, the injury report just came out, and really some optimistic news for the Buccaneers because their secondary didn't have 3/4 of their starters last week against the Saints. It looks like Antoine Winfield Jr., who practiced fully today after being a full practice participant yesterday, although that was a projection because the Buccaneers just had a walkthrough. It looks like they'll get Antoine Winfield Jr. back. Rick, how big is this?
Well, it's huge. Just from the standpoint of confidence and a guy who understands, how to get guys lined up, how to get people in position, the communication that he and Todd Bowles that he has with the other guys on defense. It starts there, right? Now, in terms of how much can he do, what kind of an Antoine Winfield Jr. we're getting, look, I don't think we've seen him healthy since week 1. And I don't know how healthy he is now, healthy enough to play. I mean, there literally is no tomorrow if you don't win this game. So it's all hands on deck right now. That's why you see so many guys able to play. But believe me, if he can give them even 75% of what he was, that's better than 100% of a lot of guys on any roster. So, you're right. Jamel Dean has an opportunity to come back. Perhaps they could have 3/4 of their secondary. We'll see about Mike Edwards. But this is about as healthy as they've been on paper. But they got to translate that to the game.
Jamel Dean limited today with that knee injury. We'll find out what his status will be going into tomorrow. And this Bucs defense will go up against Jaden Daniels. They saw him on opening day. Since then, the Commanders are greatly improved, and the Buccaneers have had a lot of change, too, since that Week 1 game. So, Rick, do you throw that Week 1 game out the window?
Well, I mean, you do, because I think both teams are different, right? The Bucs ran the ball some, but they're an exceptional running team right now, and the Commanders have not been great against the run. We said that about the Dallas Cowboys, and the Bucs lost that game. We said that about the Carolina Panthers, and they scored 40. So it's how you play that day. The only thing I know about Jaden is that he's going to be Rookie of the Year. He's a Pro Bowl quarterback. If that bothers Baker Mayfield, then he can go show it. But at the end of the day, I mean, this guy is an automatic first down. I've not seen many players, Tom, that if they need 10 yards and he just decides to pull it down, he's getting 10 yards. He's getting 10 yards because he's the fastest guy on the field. There's no one on that defense that's as fast as this guy. If he gets a lane, he's going to get a first down. And so, that's kind of been the problem. But, the Bucs are a better team. They're a lot better than they were earlier in the season, even without Chris Godwin, and that was a difficult loss. But what we've seen from Jalen McMillan, Mike Evans might have to reunite with his nemesis Marshawn Lattimore. But look, they can control the football. I think they can run the football on this team. But make no mistake. I mean, okay, so the Commanders lost that game, and they've won 12 since. So if there's 17 games, they've gone about, 12-4? Mm-hmm. They've won 3 out of every 4 games. I mean, that's exceptional. That's a lot of wins, right? So this is a winning football team. They're very confident, and they're not wondering what their quarterback or their team is going to do. They're used to winning, and that's what their intentions are, and it's going to be a great game.
Baker Mayfield had 4 touchdown passes in that Week 1 win against the Commanders, and Mike Evans caught 2 of those, and you just made mention of it, Rick, and you and I have been down this road before. Mike Evans on one side, Marshawn Lattimore on the other side. You got any boxing gloves in your closet, Rick, and so you can give to Mike, because this is going to be another heavyweight title fight, I think.
It always is, and it's because they've gone against each other so much, and the familiarity breeds contempt, obviously, and they've been on the grass. There's no more secrets. There's no more punches to throw that they haven't seen. And it's really going to come down to the officials and how they let them referee the game. If they decide to let these guys hand fight, that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough on Mike. It's going to be tough at times on Marshawn. If they start throwing flags for offensive pass interference, then it's going to be Marshawn's day. And so the extracurricular stuff, I would say this. I think Mike, we've said it before, and it didn't hold. But I do think, given the stakes, and this is a playoff game, Mike is at the point where he knows he cannot hurt his team. And some of those things were born of frustration. They were extracurricular. It wasn't even necessarily, him engaged in the fighting. It was him sticking up for other players. So we talked to Tristan Wirfs today. He's been assigned at times to keep Mike out of the pile. Maybe he'll have to do that again, but it's really fortunate for the Commanders if Lattimore is healthy enough to play and play well, that they're getting him back, because he hasn't played for a few weeks, and they traded for him for this purpose. And these 2 guys are rivals. It's going to be great theater.
And because he's got a hamstring injury, Rick, and he's been bothered, we're talking about Lattimore and Evans. They both have had hamstring injuries, but Lattimore in particular, because he hasn't played in a couple of weeks. If I'm Liam Cohen, I'm running some 9 routes against him. Let's test that hamstring. Let's see if you've got the long speed to keep up with Mike.
No question. And I think, as always, the best games that the Bucs have played are the ones where they get their best receiver, their best offensive player involved right away. The other thing that the Bucs have done well, especially this year, I think maybe almost 40% of the time, Mike has been in the slot. And there's a lot of motion. There's 2-way goes. There's opportunities for him to get matched up on other players. So you can do some things to get him open. And I think, again, you got to lean on your play caller, who's been exceptional this year, to try to get his best offensive player involved in the game. You cannot let someone like Marshawn take him out of the game. But then if he does, if they want to keep a safety over top, and they will, you've got McMillan, who's playing as well as anybody right now in the NFL at receiver.
Absolutely. Rick Stroud is with me, Tampa Bay Times at TampaBay.com, here on The Drive. Bucs and the Commanders Sunday night at 8 o'clock on NFL Wildcard Weekend. Now, Rick, you've seen a lot of games at Ray J. To that point with Mike Evans, you witnessed the 1,000-yard moment right there at the very end of that game. It was incredible. You've been to many, many games. How does that compare, the jubilation, the energy, and the reaction from the teammates, from everybody, to Mike getting that record on Sunday?
It's one of the top 2 or 3 moments I've seen in Buccaneer football, and I have been doing this too long. But there are obviously championship moments that you think of. Ronnie Barber's interception in the Super Bowls, and it's hard to replicate the importance of that. But for what it represented and for what Mike represents. And I thought the coolest thing, it almost didn't happen, number one. But then when it did, just the organic reaction, the anticipation of that by the crowd, and then his teammates, to a man, really you could feel the emotion. And that's not just because he broke Jerry Rice's record. I know Jerry Rice, and he's magnanimous, but he ain't happy about this at the end of the day. But, everybody was happy because of what Mike has meant to them, at a position where you have a lot of divas. You got to call for the ball sometimes, and you think about all the different quarterbacks he's had. He didn't have Steve Young and Joe Montana throwing to him every week. This guy's been through a lot. He didn't make the playoffs for 7 years. He's just been a great, player, first ballot Hall of Famer, I believe now, and a guy that in the community has done even more. He's an MVP. He's a Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee again for the Bucs. I think he'll win it one year, and maybe this is his year. But when you watch, what a great job by I think it was Stephen Lynch over at the Bucs. They had one camera follow him from that catch all the way off the field into the locker room. Every guy that came up to him, you could hear every celebration. And the thing that struck me is when he's in that tunnel, he could barely catch his breath. He's overwhelmed really by emotion, and it's just so cool to see. And didn't hurt that he made a quick $3 million as well. That was a nice bonus. But, yeah, I think that's one of the top moments in Buccaneer football if you're lucky enough to see that.
I saw the social media accounts of the Buccaneers. Again, like you said, we talked about it the other day. They did an incredible job of first person. He was mic'd up, and they follow him from the catch to the celebration on the sideline into the locker. It was an unbelievable glimpse inside what that record looked like from Mike Evans' perspective, which was incredible. By the way, he got the $3 million. Now, did you follow Mike to the Hard Rock Casino and play a little blackjack with him in one of those private rooms?
I was actually waiting for him, Tom. Me and you go up there all the time. You know where it is. And
I do.
I said, what the hell? I'll take $5 up there.
I don't think you could get in. I know the rooms that Mike was talking about. I don't think you could get in there for $5.
So do I. Yeah. I've seen a $250,000 chip. It's impressive.
It's very, very impressive, boy. I got some stories about the people that have gone through there and have left barely with their pants on. Let me get you out on this, Rick. And obviously, you've covered this team for a long, long time. I think this Buccaneer team has a couple of main elements to it that could lead to some postseason success. I'm not saying they'll be in the Super Bowl in New Orleans. That would be awesome if it happened. But they can run the ball on anybody. They can stop the run, and they've got a quarterback who makes big plays, especially with his legs, when the game is on the line. They seem to have a lot of elements in place that can really lead them to not only a victory on Sunday night, but maybe a run here. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's possible. You got to have breaks, and you got to make your own breaks. But, yeah, typically the teams that go deep into the postseason, they can play any way you want to play. They can run the football. Weather won't affect them because of that. They can stop the run, which you absolutely have to do in this league in the postseason. You can't make mistakes. That's the one thing that I would say, that Baker and them have to be very careful about, turning the ball over. And there were a lot of interceptions this year because good teams at this level, when you get in the postseason, they're going to bury you if you're behind the turnover giveaway takeaway ratio. But listen, the other big thing they have going for them, TKras, is they're the number 3 seed. I mean, if Green Bay upsets Philadelphia, and Jalen Hurts didn't play last couple of weeks, but if they upset Philadelphia and the Bucs were to win, guess where next week's game is? Right here at Raymond James. So, you're talking about a home game 60 minutes away from playing for a championship to go to the Super Bowl. So, yeah, I do think that they have a good chance to try to, go deeper than they did a year ago. But you really need some breaks, and you got to make some of your own breaks. But you make great points. They are a team that, it's about scoring points. When you get to this level, you got to be able to score points, and the Bucs have done that consistently all year. And we'll just have to see if the defense, can get some help by the ball control of the offense, and if they can close out the game. They've had trouble in the games they've lost, closing them out late. But I think since the bye week, they've done a really good job of that. So it's going to be interesting, but you can't go far if you don't get the first one.
100%. All right, Rick Stroud, you can read him Tampa Bay Times and at tampabay.com. He's on the Insider Show. You can listen to that on Sundays right here on this radio station, and he will join me for Countdown to Kickoff on Sunday evening as well. Rick, I appreciate it. Keep up the great work, and I'll talk to you on Sunday.
I'll be waiting all day for Sunday night, man.
Oh, I'll talk to you then. Oh, my gosh. I probably should have asked him about, you know what? What about John Gruden? You think John Gruden is going to get a look-see? I don't know.
Hey, there's next week. We'll have him on next week.
We'll have him on next week. You know, in a week, a lot can happen in a week. I can tell you that much. But, you know, the Buccaneers, man, they've got some elements in place. They can run the ball. They can stop the run. You know, they can throw it, too. They'll make you defend every blade of grass vertically as well as horizontally. You know, if they could just get some of these injured guys back. You get Antoine Winfield Jr. back, I think that's big on the back end. That's big. You know they're going to give up some points and some yards. But offensively, man, they're going to score a lot of points, too. As long as Rick mentioned, you just don't turn the ball over. If they don't turn the ball over, they don't shoot themselves in the foot, as Todd Bowles likes to say, the Bucs can play with anybody. I really believe that. All right, more of your calls and texts coming up. 888-546-4620. You can join in on the fun. How far do you think the Buccaneers can go? 82945. Even if you get to the Super Bowl, some of you clowns will still want Bowles fired.
How you doing?
Good, Coach. All right, so we'll get the Washington Commanders' perspective, by the way, coming up. At 5:05, Bram Weinstein, the radio play-by-play man for the Washington Commanders, will join us. We've got Let It Ride at 5:30. We'll take you all the way up until 7 o'clock. And as Rick mentioned, there are some things you need to be rooting for this weekend if you're a Bucs fan. If you want to make this a long playoff run, certain things need to happen. Plus, I question what a coach did last weekend, which could come back to bite him. More NFL news. I'm going to explain who it is and what he did, and that's coming up next here on the
Monster Energy 16 ounce. Not a rewards member? Now's the time to join.
Cruise control activated. This is The Drive with TKras, courtesy of Moss Nissan, live on WDAE.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you keep going each and every week and see what happens, but I do believe that these guys know, like, we're not surprised to be in the position we're in. Yeah, some things had to go our way in some ways for us to get here, but we've earned the right to be here. And we played some darn good football a lot of times this year. We still haven't all put it all together for 4 quarters as a team. We've shown signs of it.
Just imagine if they can put it all together for 4 quarters. Buccaneers, 10 wins. They win the division again. But, yeah, there have been some bouts of inconsistency. Can they put it all I'm not trying to do anything, Baker. I'm just trying to, figure out why that hasn't been the case. That was Liam Cohen before the Baker Mayfield drop, talking about, hey, guys are thinking about the Super Bowl. Before they can get to the Super Bowl, they got to win on Sunday night first. Bucs and Commanders, 8 o'clock right here in our own backyard. Just think about how epic that atmosphere is going to be. A home playoff game, I know it's at night and we've had some trouble on prime time, but maybe in the playoffs, a fresh slate. Maybe the Buccaneers can figure it out. I'll tell you this, man, it's going to feel like a football type of game on Sunday night. The temperatures the last couple of nights, it was 37 degrees 2 nights ago. This morning, it was 37 degrees and waking up. I'm sure it was from wherever you might be listening to us from. Let's see, Sunday. Oh, yeah. Sunday, the forecast high for Sunday is 65 degrees. The low is 45. So I would imagine by 8 o'clock-ish, it'll be down into the 50s. And then by the time that game ends, you might be thinking upper 40s late Sunday night.
A little chilly.
A little chilly, Coach. But you know what? It doesn't matter because the way the Buccaneers can pound you offensively, that travels. Whether it's here, there, or Uranus, the way the Bucs can run the ball, you can go anywhere and beat people to a pulp. They can beat you that way. They can beat you throwing the ball. They can stop the run. They just need more bouts of consistency. Like in the second half, they've been able to clamp down on teams. Last 5 weeks, 9 points have been scored against the Bucs. 9. That's it. Combined from the second half of the last 5 games. So those adjustments are being made, and the Buccaneer defense is coming around. Now they just have to limit the mistakes. Washington, Jaden Daniels, he's explosive. We know Terry McLaurin, 13 touchdown catches during the regular season. He's very good. And I think the Buccaneers will have some trouble with him. I think the Commandos are going to score their fair share of points. Can they outscore the Buccaneers? Here, in our own backyard, that's a big question. We'll talk to Bram Weinstein coming up just after 5 o'clock. He's the Washington Commanders radio play-by-play man. 888-546-4620. Text at 82945. So, if you're a Bucs fan and you're watching the games on Saturday, here's what you need to be looking for. You need to be looking for a Packers win. Well, that's coming up on Sunday. But if you're watching these games leading up to the Buccaneer game on Sunday, like the 2 games on Saturday, they're both AFC games. Chargers at Houston, Steelers and the Ravens. No Zay Flowers, by the way. He was ruled out today, the big play receiver for the Baltimore Ravens. But they still got Lamar Jackson, who I think is the MVP. I think I convinced Florio to vote for him yesterday when you joined us. And they still have Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman. I think they've got enough firepower. The Steelers have been awful. They lost their last 4 games. Offensively, they're in a funk. I think the Ravens could score 17 points on Saturday night, and I think that would be enough, honestly. But on Sunday, the Packers visit the Eagles. Now, Jalen Hurts is practicing. There is optimism that he will be able to go through all 5 steps of the concussion protocol in time for the game on Sunday afternoon at 4:30. And if he plays, obviously, you're coming off a concussion. You haven't played in a couple of weeks. There's still going to be a question mark there. And if you're a Bucs fan, you are rooting hard for the Packers on Sunday afternoon. Because if the Packers win and the Bucs win on Sunday night, then the Buccaneers will have another home game next weekend in a divisional round. Fine, I'm going. I'm calling another playoff game this weekend. I'm Mean Gene, the talking machine. I am Gene Deckeroff. Well, that's coming up on tomorrow's show. Also, Ronnie Lane, 5 o'clock happy hour tomorrow's show. Tomorrow's going to be packed, man. Packed.
Mailbag, too, of course.
Mailbag.
With Ronnie sitting in for the mailbag. Tom.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be something else.
So if you guys have any Ronnie takes or comments, go ahead and fire them in on the Bartow 4D text line 82945.
Well, people were doing that yesterday, so we'll have our fair share of those coming up on tomorrow's show. Tomorrow will be fun. But if you're a Bucs fan, you're rooting for the Packers. If the Packers upset the Eagles or the number 2 seed, then the Buccaneers, if they can win on Sunday night, will have another home game next weekend, which leads me to this point. And I talked about this on Countdown to Kickoff and Overtime over the weekend. I don't know why Sean McVay decided to rest his guys last weekend against Seattle. Yes, they had already clinched the NFC West. Yes, they were already in the playoffs, so he decided to bench Matthew Stafford, Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. Playoff seeding apparently did not mean much to Sean McVay. He wanted to bench his guys, and I could understand it, certainly. But you know what? Had the Rams won that game, they would have been the number 3 seed, not the Buccaneers. So the Bucs got a break when McVay decided to rest his guys, and then the Buccaneers took care of business, although for a half it didn't look like they were. But the Buccaneers rallied from a 10-point deficit. They won the game. They got Micah's record. It was a great day. And then the Rams lost, which meant the Buccaneers moved from that 4 seed to the 3 seed. So by the Rams doing that and resting their starters and then losing the game, that was the difference between the Buccaneers playing the Commanders this week and the Buccaneers playing the Minnesota Vikings this week. And I know Sam Darnold struggled mightily in that game on Sunday night. Aaron Glenn was an absolute master in terms of putting together that defensive game plan against Sam Darnold on Sunday. But I still think that the Vikings are a dangerous team. I'd rather face the Commanders than the Vikings, believe it or not. I think the Commanders are a good team. They're a year early. You got a rookie quarterback. I think the Vikings have lots of playmakers. Their wide receivers, my goodness, between Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson, I think that would have been a lot of trouble for the Bucs. Brian Flores' defense, he's got some guys who can get after the passer. A couple of Pro Bowlers on that defense, too. I think the Commanders were a better matchup for the Buccaneers than the Vikings. So that was one key benefit from the Buccaneers getting to the 3 seed. And the other one is this. Let's just say the Packers win. And the Buccaneers are hosting another playoff game next weekend. So if the Packers win, and let's just say the Rams win, and they beat the Vikings, which I think will happen. I like the Rams in that game on Monday night. Then instead of you hosting the Buccaneers, you've got to come here to play the Bucs. You got to travel all the way across the country if you're the Rams. That was the significance of the Rams resting their guys on Sunday and not going for the 3 seed.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too, Coach. Potentially. We'll see. So we'll see if that comes back to bite Sean McVay in the arse. And in terms of the Commanders, yeah, they will have their fair share of challenges. Bram Weinstein will join me just after 5 o'clock. We'll talk about that with him. Let it ride. I'm looking forward to Let it ride. Oh, yeah, for entertainment purposes only. We'll be talking about tonight's Lightning game against the Bruins at Amalie. We've got the college football semifinal tonight. Semifinal game number 1, Notre Dame and Penn State in the Orange Bowl. Our guy Barrett Sallee is going to be at that game. Notre Dame is a 1-point favorite. We'll discuss that game on Let It Ride, as well as some really interesting prop bets for Bucks and Commanders. That is coming up on Let It Ride at 5:30. So we'll take you up until 7 o'clock. All right, more of your calls and texts coming up. Also, just ahead, we've got an update. So we talked about the Rays in the last hour. They made some deals on some arbitration-eligible players. There's one player who declined and now wants to take the Rays to arbitration, and he voiced his frustrations on social media as well. Wait until you hear this. We'll talk Rays baseball coming up next here on The Drive.
WDAE Traffic Update. This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios.
Delays on North and southbound 50th Street just south of the Selman Expressway. That's all due to a vehicle fire. Also, we're seeing delays on the eastbound Selman from Dale Mabry and Gandy towards Willow, and northbound 275 from the West Shore area towards downtown Tampa. Northbound US 19 slowing down just a bit from the countryside area towards Curlew.
Get weather info around the clock by searching News Radio WFLA on iHeartRadio. I'm Amy Snyder.
Don't let data limits hold you back from being the gift master in the family group chat. Switch to Straight Talk Wireless and get real unlimited data on a reliable 5G network. Straight Talk, available at Walmart or straighttalk.com.
Get your most accurate home value estimate at DuncanDuo.com.
Congratulations, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, on winning the South. 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
All right, welcome back. The Drive with yours truly. Great to have you with us. This hour of our program brought to you by our friends over at Pin Chasers. Bowling, food, and fun. We're having a lot of fun here, and we will all the way up until 7 o'clock. 888-546-4620. Text at 82945 on the Bartow Ford DA text platform, where standard message and data rates do apply. Bram Weinstein coming up just after 5 o'clock. Washington Commanders radio play-by-play man. He will join us on the show as we're talking to you about anything and everything here on the program. So there's news on the Rays, and it's interesting news. It has nothing to do with the stadium or the Rays calling out politicians or vice versa.
I can't hear a word you say.
Oh, my gosh. But the Rays are actually getting down to baseball business. Eric Neander is hard at work here. The Rays reaching agreement today with 4 of their 5 remaining arbitration-eligible players, with one lone wolf, by the way, taking them to arbitration. The 4 players that got deals today were starting pitcher Shane Baz and Zach Littell. Zach Littell, what a godsend that guy was from a year ago, right? He's getting a nice little raise. $5.72 million is what he will make in 2025. Good for him. Shane Baz is also getting a little bit of a bump. He gets $1.45 million.
Yeah, not going to get into that at all.
Why not? You should feel good about that, Shane. Good one, Mathis. Garrett Clevenger, reliever, $1.2 million. And our guy Ben Rortvedt is also getting a raise. He made $755,000 last season. He'll make $1.125 million. Clevenger, by the way, made the minimum last year, $746,000. So he's up to $1.2 million. And Shane Baz, who looked pretty good in 14 starts, he made $743,000. He's going to make $1.45 million. So he doubled his salary. Hey, it's a beautiful thing. And I think he's got a lot of promise. By the way, the minimum salary was $740,000 last year. It jumps up to $760,000 this year, Major League Baseball. So a $20,000 increase. Now, the one guy who is taking the Rays to arbitration is Taylor Walls. So in the last hour, we brought up Taylor Walls and the fact that Mark Topkin of the Tampa Bay Times and TampaBay.com, he tweeted out that Walls was taking them to arbitration. So Topper tweeted, Walls, an elite defensive player who last year hit 183 with a 529 OPS, which is bad, by the way. Yes. And he missed 2+ months following offseason hip surgery, so you absolutely have to count that in. He was projected to get $1.3 million. Like Taylor Walls last year, I mean, he made in the vicinity of $757,000. So I don't know what he's asking for. If he's asking for a $1.3 million and the Rays are coming in under that at around $1 million, who knows? So it might be a difference of about $200,000, but he is taking the Rays to arbitration. So Topper tweets, hey, he hit this, his OPS was this, he missed the last 2 games, and he was projected to get $1.3 million. So Taylor Walls tweets back at Mark and says, what were the defensive statistics? Now, I think somebody did tweet Taylor some of those defensive numbers that he was looking for. And then Taylor Walls tweets, respectfully, I was a bit frustrated about an hour ago, but make no mistake, the Rays have been home for me my entire career. Great culture, incredible staff, incredible fans. Regardless of the outcome, both sides are full of great people with good hearts. Business is business. And then he follows up that tweet, Chris Mathis, by saying, honesty is always preferred, so thank you for your opinions. But you can't cross a bridge that's been broken, so tread lightly. And then he said something to the effect of, I'm done. I'm getting off this thing. I don't want to argue like a couple of 5-year-olds on a long car ride.
Not good enough. How's that?
It wasn't good enough. I don't think he should have been, tweeting people because Rays fans were going at him, and he was, I guess, going back at them. So we'll see.
Does this help his case or hurt his case? I feel like it's probably going further south than north.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think it helps, honestly. And I don't know. I don't know what the Rays were offering, what he's looking for, but obviously there's a gap there, and he's taking him to arbitration. I don't think he's going to win, honestly. I don't. When you hit 183 and your OPS is like 529 is bad. It's really bad. Yes, defensively he's very good. We know that. But what is the price you put on his defense? That's another question. And the other question is this. If you're the Rays, yeah, I think Taylor Walls is a good player. You want him to stick around. But in my humble opinion, I think he's more of a late-inning defensive replacement than an everyday starter. He's not an everyday starter. And the other thing to consider is this. One of the best prospects in the Rays organization is Carson Williams, who is a shortstop. And I think you're going to see Carson Williams up here sooner rather than later. The 4 o'clock hour brought to you by our friends over at Pin Chasers, bowling, food, and fun. We've been having a lot of fun here on the program. 2 hours down, 2 more hours to go. Coming up, the Buccaneers are getting ready for Jaden Daniels and the 12-5 Washington Commanders. How different do the Commanders look now as opposed to when they lost to the Buccaneers on opening day? We're going to talk to their play-by-play man on the radio, Bram Weinstein. He will join the show coming up next.
Tampa Bay Sports Radio, 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
It's playoff time, and it's now or never. Don't miss out on the last few weeks of football season with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the playoffs. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. The app is really simple to use. Pick 2 or more players across any sport, pick more or less on their projection, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money.
tuned into the voice of the Tampa Bay sports fan.
You're going to like this guy. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us.
Buckle up, because you're on the drive with TKras. Afternoons on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
It's a group that plays extremely hard. I'll say that. That's just the way they're coached. Personnel-wise, I've had some guys move around. You know, Mikey's playing outside a lot more now, and obviously you got Bobby Wagner in the middle, and Frankie Louvu is a game changer that they want to blitz him, and Jerry McShane, a really versatile player.
Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers getting ready for that Washington Commanders defense. Wild card weekend, Bucs and Commanders, Sunday night at 8 o'clock, right here at Raymond James Stadium. Good afternoon, Tampa Bay. Welcome back. Hour number 3, 5:05 on your ride home on this Let It Ride Thursday. The Drive with yours truly, Tom Krasnicki, presented by Moss Nissan. Pleasure to have you with us. If you're just getting in your car, hope you had a great day at work. You got Chris Mathis on the other side of the glass. And the 5 o'clock hour brought to you by our friends over at Reese Windows and Doors, a proud supporter and fundraiser for St. Jude Children's Hospital. For a free quote, visit them, reesewindows.com. More of your calls and texts coming up. We've got Let It Ride coming up at the bottom of the hour. We'll talk about tonight's college football semifinal game between Penn State and Notre Dame. Lightning are facing off against the Bruins at Amalie tonight. We'll discuss that. We've got some fun prop bets for the Bucs and the Commanders. That is Let It Ride at 5:30. We'll take you until 7 o'clock. But what about this 12-5 Washington Commanders team? How much different is the team we'll see on Sunday night from the one the Buccaneers beat in Week 1? Let's go to the Central Florida Behavioral Health Network DA hotline. Learn more at cfbhn.org. He's the Washington Commanders radio play-by-play man. Bram Weinstein is with me here on the drive here in Tampa Bay. Bram, welcome to the show. How are you, man?
Hi, Tom. How are you?
I'm doing great. Great to have you with us. I appreciate a few minutes of your time. And, you know, let's talk about that Week 1 game. Buccaneers, of course, winning that game. It was the very first game for Jaden Daniels. So for the fans here in Tampa Bay, how much different will this team look on Sunday night?
So it feels like a world ago, honestly. It's a very different team than the one that you saw in Week 1. Obviously, it was everybody's debut. Like, this team has got 30-plus new players on it this year. New coaching staff, new GM, new ownership, literally knew everything, rookie quarterback. And I don't know that was a really great draw for them in Week 1 to go take on a team that annually is in the playoffs and brought the majority of their team back and was stable. So what you saw in Week 1, at least, or maybe we just want to believe this up here, we don't think you're going to see that again. We're a different team these days. Jaden's a very different quarterback. He set marks this year that were unprecedented for rookie quarterbacks. Our defense is very different, specifically on the back end. You'll recall Baker had a huge day against Washington in Week 1, and we're hoping to get a different result this time around.
Well, you mentioned Jaden Daniels, and talk about his maturation process. Number 2 overall pick, and as you mentioned, I think the Commanders are here ahead of schedule to have a new owner, new GM, new coach, rookie quarterback. To win 12 games is pretty extraordinary considering the change that has gone through that organization. But talk about Jaden Daniels and his maturation process from Week 1 to where we are now.
12 is a little above expectation for sure. With all the changes that they made, I don't think any of us really thought that it would be this. This is the best record they've had since 1991. So it's been a long time for this organization to have a season like this, and that's why I think it was so unexpected. But with Jaden, he has never looked like a rookie, not once. Back in minicamp, training camp, the first thing he did, he had one series in a preseason game against the Jets, their preseason opener. They let him run 3 plays. They told him before the game, these are the 3 plays you're going to run. And on play 3, he checked out of one and threw a bomb, and it was a perfect spiral to De'Ami Brown. And after the game, it was funny. Dan Quinn admitted he was not given permission to do this, but it was the first sign of he's like, I got this, guys. And he has beyond got this. He has rushed for more rush yards than any rookie quarterback ever. For qualified quarterbacks, he has the best completion percentage ever. He missed Cam Newton's rookie mark for total yards by a couple hundred. He is the main reason why we're here at this point. Mm-hmm. This team has scored a touchdown in the final 30 seconds or overtime 6 times this year. He did 5 of those. He's beyond clutch, and the stage will not be too big for him. So this is someone who we believe we've been waiting our whole lives for this. We haven't had a quarterback. We haven't had a quarterback play like this in my adult lifetime, and this is the beginning of it. So we'll see where it goes from here.
And that's the thing. That's what's scary about this kid, because 69% completion percentage as a rookie, and they're only going to make more moves, I think, in the future to put more talent around him, the leading rusher, and he's only scratching the surface. Really good against the blitz too, right?
Yes, very good against the blitz. In fact, he's got a very high completion percentage against the blitz. I think, again, like, we're fully aware of Todd Bowles, and we know what his MO is, and it's the one thing that we would expect not to change, and we didn't. We expected it week 1. This was his first ever NFL game. He saw the Buccaneers pressure. He vacated the pocket 16 times. He did that again. He had a rush total like that a couple of weeks ago when their run game and the scripted run game had kind of turned. And I think that's a big storyline for this team. This is a top 5 rush offense, but outside of what Jaden has done and more of its unscripted Superman plays, they haven't run the ball very well over the last month or so, and that's been unusual for them. It really was a big part of why they were so successful early. They, as a rush offense, were among the best in the NFL at the beginning of the season. They were killing people in time of possession. They were having long drives. They were barely punting for 3 weeks in a row. I think they punted twice. So that's changed. And so that's something that needs to be fixed. But I will say, to go back to what you originally brought up, blitz him at your own risk. And if you do, I will tell you this: if you leave the edge open on him, he's gone. You're not catching him, and he's the closest thing to Lamar Jackson when he's running in the open field.
100%. Bram Weinstein, the Washington Commanders radio play-by-play man, is with me here on The Drive. Bucks and the Commanders Sunday night at 8 o'clock. So Daniels got blitz almost on half of his dropbacks against the Buccaneers. We'll find out how Todd Bowles manages to attack him on Sunday night. Now, also back in week 1, Terry McLaurin did not have a good game, but he went on to have a really good season. And that rapport between Daniels and McLaurin has gotten better and better. 13 touchdown receptions from McLaurin, over 80 receptions, over 1,000 yards. So he's been a big play man, right?
He has. He's been an underrated great player for this team for a number of years. I think they put up a stat today where he's the first player ever to have 5 straight 1,000-yard seasons with 5 different starting quarterbacks.
That's
being
crazy.
The primary quarterback. It is crazy. Like, he's going to go in our Ring of Fame. I think he would have a Hall of Fame candidacy if he keeps playing like this. And I think his resume is bolstered by, go look at the quarterbacks he played with and posted those numbers. The chemistry's been there with him. He is clearly their best threat on the outside. When he doesn't get the ball, the fan base screams and yells that Cliff Kingsbury is doing something wrong. Everybody is aware that he's the heartbeat of the offense. And when this team was really a run team early, I don't think people were alarmed when he didn't have big numbers. But as things have come down the stretch here, where Brian Robinson's yards per carry numbers have been way down, Austin Eckler was out for a month in concussion protocol, they weren't running the ball very well. It became more pronounced that he became their playmaker, and they started to have to kind of lean on Jaden and Terry to make things happen.
And they're making a lot of things happen, and the Buccaneers will see them on Sunday night. Bucks and the Commanders. We're talking about with Bram Weinstein. He is the Washington Commanders play-by-play man. On the defensive side, some really good moves. Dan Quinn comes on over, and he signs a couple of guys in free agency. Frankie Luvo, really good player. Bobby Wagner, future Hall of Famer. He and Levante David came out in the same draft class. But talk to us about Bobby Wagner. Led the team in tackles, what he brings to this team on the field as well as off the field.
Yeah, he's become kind of a de facto leader for them. That was a coup when they got him. I mean, I think it was the first sign that maybe we were underestimating what this team was going to be in year 1. He'd never played on the East Coast, and he came here because of Dan Quinn. Jeremy Chin signed here because of Dan Quinn. There's a number of other. Frankie Luvu apparently was offered more money in other places and came here to be part of this defense. So they've bought in. They've seen what individually players can do. The teams in Dallas, the teams in Seattle, the teams in Atlanta were turnover machines under Dan Quinn. It's actually the one thing that hasn't happened here. They've preached that this is they constantly every week they say ball is life. We're going to get the ball. And it's of all the things that they promised they would do, the competitive nature, the chemistry, the will, desire, trust me, you don't want to give them the ball with 2 minutes to go in the game. They will steal your soul. But the one thing they're not doing is getting the ball. They've got 17 turnovers all year, very few interceptions. And I think that's the one thing that needs to change. But Wagner and Luvu and Chin have been tremendous signings for them and have really turned around what was the worst defense in the league a year ago.
It was, and you mentioned the interceptions. You only have 7 as a team, 43 sacks as a team. They went out. They made a really interesting move at the deadline to shore up their back end. They traded for Marshawn Lattimore, and lo and behold, Bram, you've got Marshawn Lattimore again against Mike Evans. Trust me, we've been through it. We've seen this episode, and we've seen this movie a few times. It's like all those Rocky movies, like Rocky 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all rolled into one. Every time Mike Evans goes up against Marshawn Lattimore, it's going to be another heavyweight fight, my friend.
Yeah, we've heard all about this. You got to remember, this is new for us. He's just an upgrade at a position that we needed a major upgrade at. I've now been seeing the videos of what's happened over the last, 4 or 5 years between the two of them. And I will tell you this, Dan Quinn has talked a lot about this, especially recently when they play Philadelphia and Dallas. They, as you guys probably had with the Saints all those years when Lattimore and Evans were going up against one another. They're very emotional games. They're very physical. There's a lot of extracurricular activities that happen in these games constantly. And Quinn has talked openly about he just does not want that from his team. And largely, the win over Philadelphia, the comeback that they had, which I think really, I don't know why it's not getting more play nationally about what they did when they came back. They turned the ball over 5 times and ended a team with a 10-game win streak. I mean, it's almost mathematically impossible what they did. But part of the comeback was the Eagles took a bunch of extracurricular goaded into penalties and the Commanders didn't respond, and it helped them, and it helped extend drives, and it helped them. So they're not for whatever World War VIII is between those two. And I think they're hoping that that's not going to happen. But the way they like to put it is, we got him for a reason. We know what kind of competitor he is. We know those two don't get along. We're going to assume that they're just going to go at it as cleanly as possible.
I hope so, Bram, but I doubt you're going to see that because, as you mentioned, Mike doesn't like Marshawn, and Marshawn doesn't like Mike. And every time the Bucs played the Saints the week prior, Mike Evans would stand up there and say, I know Marshawn's on I got to be focused. I can't get involved. Yeah. And then he gets involved, and then he throws a punch, then he gets suspended. It happens all the time. And in a playoff setting, you certainly don't want this to happen, but those two guys are going to go at it, man. You're going to experience this for the first time in full force, face-to-face. It's going to be something entertaining, if anything else.
Well, listen, one of the big issues in week 1 was Washington could not cover him and Chris Godwin. And this is the big difference between what you're going to see this weekend. After the first month of the season, the team was ranked 28th to 31st pass defense. They ended the season 3rd. And that was shifting people around. That's also part of this is teams run the ball very effectively on them. They run the ball more often than they throw it against them because it works. But the other part is they're not beating them downfield very much, especially not as much as what happened early in the season, specifically against Tampa, specifically against Cincinnati. Things have changed on those big plays on the back end. There haven't been that many of them. And it's been a change at corner. Marshawn's only played a game and a half here. They acquired him at the deadline. He had a hamstring issue. It re-aggravated it. He hasn't played in a couple of weeks. So we're hoping he's going to go. I'm assuming he's going to go. And we're hoping he's going to hold up because they acquired him to upgrade the back end of the secondary. He's barely played. But the other part is they made a shift in their corners. Mike Sanders still started on the inside when he played you guys week 1. He is now a starting outside corner. The object is to have him, Noah Igbenogany, and Marshawn Lattimore out on the field, and that is a very different trio than the one you faced in week 1.
Marshawn Lattimore has been a full participant at practice both Wednesday and today, so there's no doubt he'll be out there on Sunday night against Mike Evans. Bucs and the Commanders. We're talking about a Washington Commanders radio play-by-play man, Bram Weinstein, joining me here. So how do you think, and you mentioned Baker Mayfield, who had a big game against Washington, 4 touchdown passes in that week 1 win. How do you think Dan Quinn, you expect any change-ups from Dan Quinn against Baker on Sunday night?
So I would expect a little more pressure up the middle if they can get to him. He's killing people in the pocket. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. Clean pocket, he is prolific this year. And they will point out, and I would say it's an overstatement on their part, but they keep bringing up that they missed 5 sacks on him. I would put it more like 2 that were just clear missed sacks on defensive stops. And there were 3 where he got away from them. He's become very difficult to get down. So I think I would expect a little more pressure up the middle. I think they know that him, moving up in the pocket is dangerous for them. Him moving on the outside, he's good, but I don't think it's his strength. And I think they know that. So they got to get some pressure up the middle. They typically get a good, decent amount through an array of different players on the edge. Can they get a little more from John Allen, Deron Payne, whoever else is in the middle? Will you see Frankie Louvu blitz more? Will you see Jeremy Chin blitz more? I think it's a possibility. They're going to put some pressure out there because they trust these corners far differently than the ones they trusted in week 1.
All right, before we get you out of here, give me an X factor, something that maybe we should be looking for that not a whole lot of people talking about in regard to this matchup on Sunday night. What is it?
So, I really feel like I'll go back to something we were talking about earlier. The Buccaneers are going to bring pressure because that's what they do. The injuries you have on the back end. I'm sure they're going to trust, and most people have, against our receiving corps because we don't have Mike Evans, Jalen McMillan, Chris Godwin, one guy like that. And a lot of people have just taken their chances with this receiving corps. The dangerous part of bringing the pressure against Jaden Daniels is if he gets out on the edge, he's going to beat you with his arm and his legs. And therein lies, I think, a double-edged sword when you're using backups in your secondary. So I think that's going to be interesting to see if Bowles dials it back just a little bit, which I doubt, just a little bit. And the other one is Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler, I've noticed the last couple of weeks with the Buccaneers that we respect the run defense there. But there are creases in the middle of the line for cutback runners. And him coming back's a big deal to me. That's what he does. So I expect Austin Eckler to have a really big role this weekend, whether it's out of the backfield for screens in the quick game or inside rush attack for one-cut runners. I think that's where Washington sees some options here to hopefully set up zone reads for Jaden to get some space.
Should be an entertaining game, Buccaneers and Commanders. He's the Commanders radio play-by-play man, Bram Weinstein. We certainly enjoyed this trip behind enemy lines. Bram, thanks for a couple of minutes and enjoy the game, my friend.
All right, guys. See you Sunday.
You got it. That's Bram Weinstein. Great stuff there. And, yeah, Jaden Daniels is a tough customer. I mean, he's only scratching the surface into how great he can truly be. And, yeah, these are the 2 best quarterbacks, by the way, against the blitz that you're going to see on Sunday. Baker Mayfield, number 1 in the NFL with 18 touchdown passes against the blitz, number 1 in completion percentage, number 1 in off-target percentage, and 3rd in first downs against the blitz. And Jaden Daniels, I think, is 2nd in touchdowns, completion percentage. So these are the 2 best quarterbacks against the blitz going against each other. How much will Todd Bowles blitz Jaden Daniels is a question, because in week 1, very first game in the NFL on the road, Bowles blitzed him a lot. He blitzed him almost 50%, almost half of his dropbacks. I don't think it'll be quite that much on Sunday. I think Todd will show some different pressure packages. He'll crowd the line, and some guys will drop back. Some guys will be coming. It's up to Jaden Daniels to figure out, okay, who's coming? Did I see this on tape? You got to give him something on Sunday night that he hasn't seen on tape. And even if it's something he hasn't seen on tape, the kid is special. And there's only one other person that can do what he does when he gets outside of the pocket. Jaden Daniels is the fastest man on the field. He can outrun anybody, even your DBs. So the Bucs have to be very careful. You got to keep that guy in the pocket. It's going to be up to the edge guys. The only other player who can do what he does is Lamar Jackson, who's going to win the MVP. I think at least he should win. But Jaden Daniels is going to be tough, man. He's special. There's no question. There'll be some points scored on Sunday. Can the Buccaneers score one more point than the Commandos? I think the answer is probably yes. It is. Your thoughts, 888-546-4620. Text at 82945. Want to thank Bram Weinstein. Great job out of him. Play-by-play guy. I think the Commanders are a year ahead of schedule. I didn't expect this. At 12-5, they lost the first game, and then they went 12-4 the rest of the way. Really impressive. With the new owner, new GM, new coach, rookie quarterback. They brought in some veteran players. I mean, they hit the jackpot in free agency, I can tell you that. Between Bobby Wagner, Frankie Luvo, Jeremy Shinn, those are their top 3 tacklers, are the 3 guys they got in free agency. And Luvo's a good player. 8 sacks this season. He's played in every game. So is Jeremy Shinn. So is Bobby Wagner. Those 3 guys, free agent acquisitions, they played in every game this season. Your calls and texts coming up as we'll take you until 7 o'clock. Also on the way back, there are some really interesting player props for the Buccaneers and Commanders game. Notre Dame plays Penn State tonight, college football semifinal matchup. You've got the Lightning against the Bruins tonight at Amalie. We'll discuss that. Plus tomorrow night, semifinal matchup between Texas and Ohio State. We've got a little let it ride action. I want to remind you that the 5 o'clock hour here is brought to you by Reese Windows Indoors, proud supporter and fundraiser for St. Jude Children's Hospital. For a free quote, visit them at reesewindows.com. We'll be betting on some of these games and player props. A little let it ride action is coming up next.
You're tuned in to The Drive with TKras.
All right. Be careful on your ride home because injury accidents, as I found out, as Jordan Whitehead found out last weekend, it can happen to anybody at any time, and you want to be prepared. If you've been the victim of an injury accident, you need to call my guys over at Catania and Catania, the personal injury law firm that's been doing their thing here in Tampa Bay for the last 3 decades. They work on a contingency, which means there's no cost to you unless they win. And they've been doing plenty of winning over the years. Almost $1 billion has been successfully recovered by my guys for injury victims just like you. So whether it's an injury accident, product liability, medical malpractice, Social Security disability, God forbid, wrongful death in your family, these are the guys you need to call because they've been at it for 30 years. So give them a call. Get a free evaluation of your case at 813-222-8545. That's 813-222-8545. Or hit them up online at CataniaandCatania.com, where they put families first. Office Tampa, not an attorney spokesman.
WDAE
Traffic Update.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores.
goal in the final minute of regulation. Look, the Lightning are back home. The West Coast trip, California, was stunk. That was not a good trip for the Lightning, but they're back home. I think they're going to be fine. I'll take the Lightning. I'll lay the goal and a half. Boston is struggling, as you mentioned. By the way, it's the Lightning against the Bruins next year, February 1st, 2026, in the Outdoor Classic over at Ray J. So there you have it right there. But I'll take the Lightning tonight at home, player.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, how about Braden Point over under half a goal? You mentioned his goal the other night.
God. He's having a ridiculous year for your Tampa Bay Lightning, and he's one of the league's leading scorers. He's been a great goal scorer. His synergy, well, not only we knew his synergy with Nikita Kucherov was outstanding, but his synergy and how he has picked up, that rapport with Jake Gensel has also been fantastic. He's got 24 goals. I think he scores number 25 tonight at Amalie.
Oh, write it down. You guys can play that on the Hard Rock Bet app. All right, over under 2.5 goals given up by Andrei Vasilevsky.
His goals against average is 2.37, 91.5 save percentage, which is respectable at this point. He's allowed 2 goals exactly in each of his last 4 starts. So I'll go under. All the numbers and the metrics say under 2.5. You said 2.5?
Yeah, 2.5. Yep.
I'll go under.
Taking the under.
I think it's 2.
Even with a Bruins team that looks to snap their 5-game losing skid, still hanging in there with 2 goals allowed tonight. All right, college football.
Yes.
Heard right here on WDAE as number 5 Notre Dame takes on number 4 Penn State. And the college football playoff semifinals, Notre Dame a 1-point favorite. The over-under is 45 points.
I think both defenses are really good. This Abdul Carter from Penn State, their edge player, he's going to be in the top 5 or 6 picks of the draft. And you got Notre Dame's defense. I was impressed by them against Georgia. I know your boy, what's his face?
Gunnar Stockton.
Yeah, he did not perform well. And the strip sack right at the end of the first half was a big play in that game. I think Notre Dame is probably a little bit faster overall and a little bit better defensively. I like Marcus Freeman a lot. I'm going to take Notre Dame in this game. I think this will be more of a defensive game. I think I would probably lean toward under 45. And as you mentioned, by the way, Notre Dame and Penn State tonight at 7 o'clock, right after we get off the air, our coverage will begin. So you can listen to the Orange Bowl tonight right here on WDAE.
And if that's not enough college football for all of you out there, the playoff will continue on WDAE at 7 o'clock as we've got Texas, number 3 in the country, taking on number 6, Ohio State, and the Cotton Bowl, where the Buckeyes are 6-point favorites. Tom, tomorrow, over under 53 points.
Listen, Ohio State has been the most impressive team, and that is not up for discussion. They've been awesome. What they did to Oregon was obviously no joke. That was fantastic. I like Texas, though. I like Steve Sarkisian. I like Quinn Ewers. Barrett Sallee was saying the other day of the 4 quarterbacks that are still around, like he said Ewers was the least dependable one. I disagree with that sentiment. I like Ewers. And, yeah, he struggled, as did Texas against Arizona State. But guess what? When you don't have your A game and you figure it out, I think that's the mark of a good team. I think Texas will play well tomorrow night. I'm going to take Texas plus the points.
We'll transition now to your Tampa Bay Buccaneers as we've got our odds player props. The Bucs take on the Commanders on Sunday night. Baker Mayfield over under 248.5 passing yards on Sunday.
Okay, so
248.5.
Marshawn Lattimore will be on the field on Sunday night against Mike Evans. Baker threw for 289 and 4 touchdowns the last time these two teams met. Now, I think Washington is a little bit better than that, but I still will go over on the passing yards prop.
Wow, and Chris Godwin did play in that Week 1 matchup.
He did, and he was their leading receiver, 8 for 83 and a touchdown.
And still taking Baker over 248.5.
I am.
All right. I hope you're right. I think if they can do that.
I think Mike is going to be ready for Marshawn Lattimore. And with Lattimore still hobbled with that hamstring, I mean, he's going to play, but he's missed several games this year. I'm going to test him out vertically. You know what? I'm running some 9 routes, some deep posts. Let's test that hamstring of yours, buddy.
Yeah, talk smack along the way as well, Mike Evans. Get his head just a little bit, you know?
That's right.
I despise him.
We all do in Tampa Bay.
All right, Jayden Daniels, the other signal caller on Sunday night, over under 232.5 passing yards.
He had 184 the first meeting, and I think he will do more damage maybe with his legs than with his arm. I think the Bucs are going to get Antoine Winfield Jr. back. I think that's going to help in the secondary. I'm going under on that number.
Really?
Yes.
TKras is buying into the Buccaneers on Sunday. That's what I'm hearing right now.
Fire them cannons, get them going.
I don't know if I feel that same sentiment there. Regarding, and you know what? The secondary, I don't think the secondary's gotten better, Tom. But I hope you're right for, of course, Buccaneers' sake.
I don't think he's throwing for 300 yards. You know, he's got Terry McLaurin, he's got Zach Ertz, but I don't think he's throwing for a whole lot of yards. I think I'm more concerned about his legs and his ability to extend plays and his ability to get out and run. That's what scares me more.
All right, Mike Evans, we talk about the matchup with him and Marshawn Lattimore. Over under 75.5 for receiving yards, 5.5 catches.
You see, this is tough. This is where it gets a little tough.
It's dicey.
It gets dicey. Not nicey, as your boy John Gruden, nicey.
Got me feeling real nicey.
Nicey. This is dicey. So 5.5 catches, 75 yards.
75.5.
I think I'm going to go under on the catches for Mike.
That's 15 yards per catch in case you guys are trying to figure that out.
But I think there might be a couple of big ones down the field. I think the Buccaneers will try and test Lattimore vertically. I think Mike will catch one of those. So I'm going under on the receptions. I think I'm going to go slightly over. I think Mike has around 80, 85 yards. So I'm going over on the receiving yards.
The other number one receiver on the other side of the field, Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry. 60.5 receiving yards is the line. 4.5 catches.
That feels low to me.
I think so too.
Yeah, so I'm going over 60.5 against the Bucs. Because I think if there's one guy who can have a nice night in the passing game, I think it's going to be McLaurin. And I'm going to go over on the catches as well.
Now, this one feels a little high to me. I know he's played well as of late, but Jalen McMillan, 51.5 receiving yards, 4.5 catches.
He caught a 32-yard touchdown against the Commandos on opening day. And then he didn't have any touchdowns, Chris Mathis, until the last 5 games where he's caught 7 of them. So he's got 8 touchdowns on the season. The first one came in his NFL debut, and the last 7 have come in the last 5 weeks. And I'm going over because a lot of attention, obviously, on Mike Evans. And I think Jalen McMillan will pick up the slack. He had 74 yards last week. The incredible toe tap with a touchdown from Baker, which was just a hellacious play. I think Jalen McMillan is starting to emerge. I'm going over.
Zach Ertz, another tight end that could have a big day against this Buccaneer defense. He's got a line of 36.5 receiving yards, 4.5 catches.
I think he goes slightly over on the receiving yards. I think he ends up with around 45 to 50. And 4.5 catches?
Yep, 4.5.
I'll go slightly under. I think he ends up with 4 catches.
Bucky Irving, 82.5 rushing yards. That's his line. You taking the over?
I'm going over. And the reason why is, first off, he's dynamic, number one. Number two, the Washington Commandos are 30th in rush defense. So I think the Buccaneers will come out of that locker room looking to establish the run, and I think they'll be successful in doing so. I think Bucky has a really nice night in his playoff debut.
Now you're worried about Jayden Daniels and his legs, his ability to be Houdini in the pocket. Over under 46.5 rushing yards.
That feels low because he had 88 against the Bucs, so I'm going over that number.
All right, 2 more. Brian Robinson Jr. over under 45.5 yards rushing.
Under on that.
Taking the under. All right.
Vita Vea is going to smash him into the ground.
Oh, well, let's hope. I mean, let's hope he dominates there on the front.
Did you see that one tackle that Vita Vea had? He literally shoulder blocked the guy from the Saints, and he crumpled to the floor.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the guy's a refrigerator coming straight at you. All right, over under half a sack for Yaya Diaby.
I go over. He's had a sack in each of the last 2 weeks. I think Yaya's starting to emerge. The NFC Defensive Player of the Week. and I think he's starting to get hot at the right time. I think he gets a sack.
And that is Let It Ride here on the Thursday edition of the program.
Outstanding stuff there, Chris Mathis. And Let It Ride presented by the Center for Men's Health at C4MH.com. And don't forget the 5 o'clock hour here of the program presented by our friends over at Reese Windows and Doors, a proud sponsor and fundraiser for St. Jude Children's Hospital. For a free quote, visit them, reesewindows.com. All right, your calls and texts are coming up. I see you guys. Ed and Darryl, we'll get to you guys in a matter of moments. We're going to let you know what's on tonight on the way back, which is a lot. And news on the Rays. There's always one guy looking to buck the system or buck the trend. We're going to tell you which Rays player is going against the team next.
You're locked in to The Drive with TKras.
Oh, it's going to be a bit nipply outside. It has been for the last couple of days. So, guys, how's your hot water? Is your hot water running? If you're having difficulty with air and water, guess what? Those are two things a certified Ruud Pro partner knows an awful lot about. Take it from me. I met with these guys. They are awesome. And now you know you can rely on Ruud to keep your indoor air comfortable. And now you know you can rely on Ruud to make sure your hot water is flowing whenever you need it. With the weather this cold, that's one thing you don't want going out on you. And if it does, turn to my guys over at Ruud Water Heating. They're the industry leader for total water heating solutions. If you need conventional tank-type water heaters, check. Tankless water heaters, I got one of those, check. Replacement parts and accessories for all categories, check and check. Ruud is your one-stop solutions provider. And with the exclusive backing of Ferguson HVAC, your certified Ruud Pro partners will get the best products and parts when you need it. Ruud water heaters, engineered tough and built to last. For AC and water heating solutions, check them out. You can connect with a certified Ruud Pro partner. Do it right now. Go online. RuudACFlorida.com. That's Ruud spelled R.
superhero movers.
Congratulations, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, on winning the South. 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. What's on tonight with The Drive with TKras?
And here he is, our man, the executive producer of this hideous radio program, Chris Mathis.
All right, and I take a lot of pride in that, Tampa Bay. I sure do. Of course, we've got a lot going on here on WDAE as we've got Notre Dame squaring off with Penn State, 7 o'clock coverage right here on WDAE, streaming live on the free iHeartRadio app. That, of course, being the Orange Bowl college football semifinal game here tonight. Also, while you're at it, go download that app, search up The Drive, and make sure to have 95.3 WDAE set up as one of your presets. It is awesome. The app has enhanced. If you've not checked it out since you've downloaded it, go back, give that one a look. And also, just a heads up, I know it's not tonight, Tom, but I will be at the Bucs playoff crew drive-through event tomorrow morning from 7 to 8:30, giving out like the flags and all the goodies.
Yeah,
so if you guys,
I saw that. Yeah, the drive-through. Yeah, we've done that a few times the last couple of years. That's fun, man. All the cars that come through, getting their flags, they beep their horns at us. They try and, a couple of them try and run over yours truly at Ronnie Lane.
I don't want any part of that, number one. Number two, as you guys drive through, if you want to tell me how you really feel about Tom, just let me know as you guys drive through, and I will give you a Buccaneer goodie bag. But anyway, I'm there 7 to 8:30, but the event runs from 5:30 a.m. to 10 a.m.
I'm sure.
I don't want to be associated with that guy. He's a loser.
And that's what Chris Mathis will be telling the people.
Hot mic,
at the drive-through. Hot mic.
How'd you get my mic squared away like that?
Hot mic. Boy, oh boy.
Truckers for TKras, baby.
Yeah, listen, man, we got a lot of respect for those guys.
I'm sure I'll see a trucker or two tomorrow.
I hope so. I think you will. That's a fun event. Speaking of fun, you know, the Rays are trying to piece their team together for 2025. By the way, we're 1 month away from pitchers and catchers, roughly. I think February 10th is the date. Pitchers and catchers report down to Port Charlotte. So we're 1 month away. You know, the Rays sent that letter to the city of St. Pete like, hey, listen, we changed our mind. We want you to fix the trop ASAP. Put one of those blue tarps if you have to. That's going to be a huge blue tarp. If you have to do it, put one of those tarps over. Let's play some ball in 2026 over at the Trop. Schnell. But that's not the news we'll be talking about, and hopefully that works itself out. The Rays today made deals with 4 of 5 players that were arbitration eligible, that were remaining. There were 5 players left. 4 of them agreed to deals. The guy who got the biggest raise was Zach Littell. And he pitched really well last season. 29 starts, ERA 3.63 is good. Forget about the record, 8-10. A lot of people say, well, you had a losing record. If your ERA is under 4, you're doing something right. If it's under 3, it's fantastic. If it's under 2, you're in the Hall of Fame, basically. But Zach Littell made $1.85 million last year, made 29 starts, a good ERA. He got almost a $4 million raise. He'll be making $5.72 million this year. So he agreed on a 1-year deal for $5.72 million. Shane Baz, 1 year, $1.45 million. He gets a raise. He made $743,000 last year. So
yeah, not going to get into that.
What? What do you mean? You got you doubled your money.
He
almost.
doesn't want to talk about last year's salary, Tom.
He doesn't want to talk.
Ahead.
Wow, listen. He went 4-3. His ERA was almost 3 even in 14 starts. Came back from the Tommy John. Look, he had a good year, and the Rays will be relying on him moving forward. Remember, they traded Jeffrey Springs. So he got a nice raise. Good for him. Almost doubled his money. Garrett Clevenger, he gets a raise too. He'll make $1.2 million this year. He also agreed to a deal. He made $746,000 last year. Good for him. You know what? Damn the man. Take them for all they got. Who cares? It's not your money. Not mine either. And our guy, we like Ben Rortvedt. You know what? Maybe next week we'll try and get him on.
I mean, he's like a 5-timer at this point. I think he joined the program 5 times last season.
At least. And, he lives here. He probably listens to the show. Probably not on the last part, but he does live here. He had a home here in Tampa, got traded from the Yankees to the Rays. He gets a raise. He's up to $1.125 million for Ben Rortvedt. So good for him. Last year he made $755,000. So the one lone wolf who didn't agree to a deal with the Rays is now taking them to arbitration is shortstop Taylor Walls, who's who's a really good defensive player. But offensively, he came off the hip surgery. He hit 183. Not good. A 529 OPS is just ugly. That's not good either. So he went online on X, and Mark Topkin, and yes, someone just texted in. Yes, I did see the exchange between Topkin and Taylor Walls. So Topkin tweeted out, hey, Taylor Walls, he's projected to get $1.3 million from MLBTradeRumors.com, which is a pretty good website. Taylor Walls' salary last year was $757,000. We don't know what he's asking for. Actually, we're going to find out in a little bit. But maybe he's asking for 1.3 million, and maybe the Rays are offering 1. I bet you the difference is like 200,000. But Taylor Walls, I guess, was not satisfied with the offer, so he's taken the Rays to arbitration. And in going online, he made some interesting remarks. I probably wouldn't have done the things that he did or said the things that he said. I don't think he's going to beat the Rays. Not when you're hitting 183. But I wish him the very best of luck. But he's the one guy who's going to try and take down Eric Neander and the Rays. So, Eric, how much are you offering him?
None yet.
That's what I thought. 888-546-4620. So that's the news on the Rays here on this Let It Ride Thursday. The 5 o'clock hour presented by Reese Windows and Doors, a proud supporter and fundraiser for St. Jude Children's Hospital. For a free quote, hit them up, reesewindows.com. All right, 3 hours down, 1 more hour to go. I feel like I got to get at least one call in here. Darryl in Tampa, what's going on? How are you?
Hey, TKras.
Hey.
I would say this. I'm glad that you had that Washington Commanders broadcaster on the air because a lot of us as fans, and I feel this way, Todd Bowles, you can't blitz your way to success. You got to disguise your blitzes. And by the way, if I know this stuff and I'm not a coach and I'm not being employed and paid by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that's why we want more out of you. We don't want to lose the coin toss and they nickel and dime us down the field and score a touchdown. That's been the tendency. We don't want that. And on the offensive side, please don't run Bucky Irving into the ground. I feel we're a more balanced team than Washington is if it takes a little bit longer. But we got to make those guys pay. Not with field goals, with a touchdown. If it doesn't happen, we got to make them pay. All right, let me get off your air.
All right, thank you. Yeah, get off the air.
Good for Coach Rob!
No, that's not the one I want to play.
Come on, get out of here!
That's the one I wanted to play. All right, Ed and George, I got to take a break. I would love to talk to you guys on the other side. Also, coming up, what are the key matchups for the Buccaneers and the Commanders? Oh, boy, here we go again. Mike Evans against Marshawn Lattimore. Get ready for another heavyweight title fight. And what about the status of Liam Cohen? Will he leave the Buccaneers for a head coaching job? A lot of questions. We'll get some answers. Rick Stroud, Tampa Bay Times at TampaBay.com. He'll be with me next.
You're locked in to The Drive with TKras.
It is The Drive, and it is presented by our guys over at Moss Nissan, where their goal is to never lose your business over price. TKras here. They are the proud sponsors of this hideous program. Chris Mathis also along for the ride because he's experienced the Moss Nissan effect as well. And if you're shopping for a new vehicle here in 2025, holiday hangovers, if you have credit card debt that has you down, We've got the cure at Moss Nissan, Chris.
Yeah, we do, Tom, and it's as easy as this. No money down, plus no payments due until the spring. Come on now.
That is fantastic. I bought my last 2 vehicles over at Moss Nissan, and with every purchase, you'll get Moss Care. And I tell you, Moss Care is great because the service department is awesome. Lifetime oil changes and tire rotations, too.
If you haven't turned the car around to head to Moss Nissan on your drive home from work this evening, what are you doing? You get all this and more while selecting from the largest Nissan inventory in Tampa Bay.
You got that right. They've got 3 convenient locations. They're in Tampa, Newport Richey, and Brooksville. You can also check out their inventory at mossnissan.com. That's mossnissan.com. Moss Nissan, whatever it takes.
Tampa Bay Sports Radio, 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
From the Rude Air and Water Studios, powered locally by Ferguson HVAC, engineered tough, built to last.
Listening on the free iHeartRadio app? Thanks to Farah and Farah, it's never been easier to send your opinions directly to your favorite show. When you open the app, click the red talkback microphone and hit send. Farah and Farah, here to make it easy, Tampa.
The Home Depot's new supply house is built for one job, to deliver yours. No cart, all...
For their
We have built a clean business for over 30 years, creating thousands of customized, inflation-adjusted, tax-advantaged, comprehensive retirement plans, and we were the first company in Tampa Bay to do it. That competitive edge has enabled us to hone in on our craft. You know, Ronnie, we have never had a client return their retirement plan and say, hey, this doesn't work.
Steve, I believe it. Folks, check out my friends by Googling the Holland Group Retirement Wealth Advisors. They have solid reviews online you can read, which matters enormously.
What's up, everybody? Adnan Burke here to tell you about a new podcast. It's NHL Unscripted with Burke and Demers.
Jason Demers here, and after playing 700 NHL games, I got a lot of dirty laundry to air out.
Each week we'll get together to chat about the sport that we love.
But we're not just going to be talking hockey, folks. We're talking movies, we're talking TV, food, and Adnan's favorite, wrestling. It's all on Le Table.
Listen to NHL Unscripted with Burke and Demers on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search NHL Unscripted with Burke and Demers and start listening.
Prime's exclusive wildcard playoff game is coming Saturday. Into the end zone. TJ Watt and the Steelers take on Lamar Jackson and the Ravens in a playoff showdown between AFC North rivals, and it's only on Prime Video.
What a great job.
Not a Prime member? Sign up for a 30-day free trial to stream the game. The Steelers and the Ravens in Prime's exclusive wildcard playoff game. Powered by Verizon. Saturday at 7:30 Eastern, only on Prime Video. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
Experience the Anna Jar Levine difference.
Call 1-800-747-FREE.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded. Tampa Bay Sports Radio. We are 95.3 W237CW Pinellas Park, WRUB HD3 Clearwater, and the mighty AM 620 WDAE St. Petersburg, an iHeart radio station. It's Thursday from Citrus Park to Bayonet Point and all around Tampa Bay, plus worldwide on iHeartRadio.
The gloves are off. I'm playing hardball. It's 4th and 15, and you're looking at a full court press.
You're tuned into the voice of the Tampa Bay sports fan.
You're going to like this guy. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us.
Buckle up, because you're on the drive with TKras. Afternoons on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
Nothing yet, just have the one request. That's all I'm aware of at this moment. So that's all I've got going on right now. And as much as it's an honor to be even in that category, but that hasn't been something I've worked on much over the last few days. It's an honor, but not something we're thinking about at the moment.
Liam Cohen, Buccaneer offensive coordinator, addressing the rumors today about the Jaguars wanting to interview him for their vacant head coaching position, and he basically confirmed, yes, the Jaguars would like to speak to him. That is the only team we know of for the moment, but there are other teams out there. His childhood team, the Patriots, they need a head coach. The Raiders need a head coach. Tom Brady looks like is taking more of a hands-on approach in terms of what the Raiders do in the offseason. The Raiders, by the way, just fired their coach, and today they fired their general manager. So it looks like Tom as well. Rick, I appreciate it. Keep up the great work, and I'll talk to you on Sunday.
I'll be waiting all day for Sunday night, man.
Oh, I'll talk to you then. Oh, my gosh. Rick Stroud. Funny. Waiting all day on a Sunday night. It is a primetime game. I don't know. The Bucs were 0-4 in primetime this year. Hopefully they can buck, pardon the pun, the trend coming up on Sunday night, 8 o'clock. By the way, countdown to kickoff. Yours truly, 6 o'clock on Sunday evening. And then once the Bucs Commanders game ends, I will be on the air with overtime into the wee hours of Monday morning talking about Bucs and Commanders. I hope you guys can join us then. 888-546-4620. Text at 82945. I'm going to take Ed from Tampa because he's been waiting a long time. Ed, thanks for waiting, my man. How are you?
Oh, let me tell you, I'm so happy to be on. You're my hero, TKras. Rick Stroud's a GOAT. I bring a message of hope and a story of the Cinderella Buccaneers making a deep run in the playoffs. I think you guys got the Bucs have Bucky Irving, who is a larger work done. The guy's explosive. I think he's going to gash the Washington Commanders for over 100 yards. I think Baker's going to be throwing dimes all day. I think the Bucs are going to win by 1 billion, and it's not even going to be close. You're going to rattle that quarterback early. I think the coach is going to be amazing. He's going to call a great game. He's going to blitz. I really think that's going to get to Daniel. For the rest of the journey, you'll be guided by the silent hand of divine intervention, because I've been praying for the Bucs. And in my prayer, I'm going to share it with the audience. Dear God, please let the Bucs make the Super Bowl, so MVP Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills have an easy out and win, so I can die a happy man. Go Bucs, go Bills. I love you, TKras. I'm out.
I love it. Ed in Tampa. I like that. All right. Bucs and Bills, I think that would be hellacious in the Super Bowl. Hellacious. 888-546-4620. Great stuff there. There's a good Buck fan, you know. He wants the best for his team. He's not looking to run Bulls out of town like some people are. You freaking people. On the way back, more of your calls. We're going to get into them. There's some interesting stuff happening in the NFL right now. Something very interesting is happening in Sin City. Then there's a Buccaneer angle to it as well. We're going to get into that. Head coaching interviews, who's going where, and who just got third prize too. That is next here on The Drive.
You're tuned in to The Drive with TKras.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 2025. And if you head on over to the Golden Diamond Source, my good friend Steve and Julie Weintraub are ready to service you. And you can kick off the new year by impressing her, your significant other, with a timeless diamond from my friends over at the Golden Diamond Source. And if you're ready to pop the big question, Chris Mathis did. He just got engaged. Where did he get his engagement ring? He got it at the Golden Diamond Source. And you can find your perfect engagement ring there as well. And if she has a January birthday, no problem. You can make that birthday special. Or if you have a 2nd and 6th wedding anniversary, you can make it unforgettable with up to 15% off the January birthstone, which happens to be garnet. While you're there, discover Emilique by Emily Johnson Weintraub. It's a sleek and modern jewelry line, really attractive, and makes everyday gifts extraordinary. Also, guys, turn old, unused gold into cash or a stunning new piece. With gold prices soaring, there's no better time to trade up. So check it out. It's all there at the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Omerton Road in Clearwater.
On WDAE.
Welcome back. Hope you're having a wonderful Thursday evening. It's going to be a little nipply out there this evening. Maybe not as nipply as last night or the night before, but it should be in the 40s tonight.
A little chilly.
A little chilly. Thank you, Coach. By the way, if you're wondering about the game on Sunday night, it'll be beautiful. It's going to be football type of weather. Temperatures in the mid-50s at Ray J for Sunday night, 8 o'clock, Buccaneers and Commanders. 888-546-4620. Your calls in a matter of moments. All right, some interesting stuff happening around the NFL. There are 6 head coaching vacancies. And now another GM vacancy opened up today because the Raiders fired Tom Telesco about 2 days after they fired Antonio Pierce. So the Raiders are now looking for a GM and head coach. This smells like something that Tom Brady is conjuring up. What is Tom Brady up to? Because he has more, I think, of an integral role as a minority owner, even though he's still a broadcaster. And he's going to have to give up the TV gig at some point because you can't be a minority owner and start calling the shots and still be on TV. It's a conflict of interest.
Oh, so what's the question?
Well, the question here, Tommy boy, is what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? And what do you have up your sleeve for a head coach and GM? There's a lot of rumors out there. Reports are Brady's going to try and get his guy Mike Vrabel in the building. Mike Vrabel is a very hot commodity. Interviewed with the Jets. Is interviewing with the Chicago Bears. The Patriots want him. Getting an interview there, too. It's great to be Mike Vrabel, I can tell you that. By the way, the Patriots announced today they interviewed Mike Vrabel. So Mike Vrabel really is in the catbird seat. I mean, you're talking about a guy, there's going to be a bidding war for his services, and he's going to end up going to either Vegas or New England. So it could be a bidding war between Brady and the Raiders, conceivably, and Robert Kraft, the guy that Brady's very close to, and the Patriots. And it's really up to Mike Vrabel. And if I'm Vrabel, I'm going to the Pats. And the reason why is that's a way better job. You got Drake May. You've got some really good pieces aside from Drake May. You've got the number 4 overall pick. You have over $125 million in cap space that you can plug away, sign O-linemen. Maybe they can go on. Maybe T. Higgins. T. Higgins would be great. Drake May needs a number 1 receiver. Boom. That's how you solve that. And then the number 4 overall pick, get yourself a lineman to protect Drake May and block for T. Higgins or whomever. You go to Raiders, all of a sudden you're in a division with Andy Reid, Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh, and you don't have a quarterback. So the Raiders' job is probably not a good job, even though Brady's there as the minority owner. Now, you heard Rick Stroud mention that there's a chance that Liam Cohen could get an interview with the Raiders because Tom Brady, Brady's done what? A few games of the Buccaneers this year, and every time Brady does a game against the Buccaneers, he's on the field pregame, he's talking to Liam Cohen, and they've had extended conversations, and Liam Cohen just goes gaga for Tom Brady. That was his guy. Liam Cohen grew up in Massachusetts. He was a huge Patriots fan. He loved Brady. And when Brady calls you up and says, hey, you want to interview? Liam Cohen, I'm sure, will jump at the chance to interview for the Raiders job. He's getting the Jags interview. Maybe the Patriots call on him. We'll see. The Patriots are going to interview Ben Johnson after they talked to Mike Vrabel today. They'll interview Ben Johnson this weekend. Patriots' job is an attractive job, so there's a lot happening there. There's a lot of pieces in motion here. It's a fluid situation happening in the NFL. Let's go to our phones. Mike is in Clearwater. Mike, what's going on?
Hey, good evening. I appreciate you taking the call. Real quick, I just wanted to, I keep receipts. So about conversation we had about 5 months ago, TKras, for all the listeners out there, we both talked about it live on the radio. If the Bucs make it to the playoffs, it's going to be on the backs of the big uglies up front, and that's exactly what happened. You were exactly right. I was right. We were on point. They've been very well this year, and they can actually make a run because of them in the playoffs. But it was on the backs. We saw it happen throughout the season. I'll hang up and listen.
Well, thank you, Mike. And look, that's where it all starts up front. It all starts in the trenches. And the two things that the Buccaneers do really well that will serve them well Sunday night and hopefully beyond that is they could run the ball on anybody, and they can also stop the run. Number one in the NFL in stopping the run since they came back from their Week 12 bye. And it's all because of Vita Vea, who's had a dominant season, and Kalijah Kancey, who's really starting to come along, playing next to him. And then with Yaya Diaby, coming off that really good game against the Saints, he's had sacks in each of his last 2 games. Look out now. Now you're talking about, defense that's starting to play a little bit better. There's still some holes on the back end because of a lot of injuries and whatnot. And I think the Commandos are going to score their fair share of points. But I think the Buccaneers are going to dominate the game in the trenches where it counts. And that's where it all starts. If you do well up in there, you've got a good shot of winning. And I think the Buccaneers can win the type of ball that you can go anywhere with. The way they run the ball and the way they test you with their screen game, and then they take shots down the field vertically. They stretch you horizontally. They stretch you vertically. And that's what Liam Cohen's done a great job of, as well as pound you into the ground with their running game. That sort of game and winning formula can travel anywhere. Indoors, outdoors, grass, wind, rain, even snow. It is weatherproof. All right, coming up, final thoughts. We've got the final drive coming up. Also on the way, a look ahead. I'm telling you, tomorrow's Football Friday show is so fun. It's so exciting. I'm excited for it.
It's exciting!
Todd Bowles should be excited. You should be excited, too. We're going to tell you about a huge Football Friday show, and it's coming your way next.
WDAE
Traffic update. This report is sponsored by Allstate.
South end of the Skyway Bridge, the left lane blocked northbound heading towards St. Pete, and traffic jammed up from before the toll plaza. Also, we're seeing delays southbound from Midspan. Delays into Tampa, northbound 275 on the Howard Franklin Bridge. A crash on the exit lanes to State Road 60 and the airport. Get traffic info around the clock by searching News Radio WFLA on iHeartRadio. I'm Randy Myers.
Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Hi, I'm Benny Jr. with Bartow Ford. And while Bartow Ford is in a small town, we are positioned perfectly for our customers in surrounding counties to make that drive. And we make that drive worth it. Not with just the lowest price, but the very best treatment. And let's face it, what's a little drive compared to the best car buying experience you can have? On your next purchase, don't go the wrong way. But if you can't make it to us just yet, visit us at bartowford.com. Bartow Ford, we're different, and we prove it.
Hey guys, it's TKras here. I want to tell you about my new obsession, Daisy French Onion Dip. Man, do I love it. I had some people over last week to watch the game. I had this dip out there with chips, wings, and veggies. They loved it. I love it too. And now Daisy's come out with the Daisy French Onion Dip and the Daisy Ranch Dip. These are game changers, guys. They're as good as any homemade dip. They have real herbs and spices. So check it out. Look for Daisy French Onion Dip at a grocery store near you. Take it from me. It's great.
The choice is clear. Mazda of Clearwater. Mazda of Clearwater.
Enjoy the best car buying experience of your life at Mazda of Clearwater on US 19, just south of Roosevelt and East Bay Drive.
Your Tampa Bay Buccaneers are NFC South champions 4 years in a row. The Bucs have clinched the division and are hosting a home playoff game versus the Washington Commanders this Sunday at 8 p.m. Limited tickets remain to experience the party that only Tampa can bring to the NFL playoffs. Be part of the crew and cheer on Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, Bucky Irving, and the rest of the squad as we raise the flags for Tampa Bay this postseason. Tickets for the Bucs playoffs presented by Advent Health are available now at Buccaneers.com/tickets. Go Bucs.
When it comes to making fantasy picks on your favorite players, you want excitement, but you also want a platform you can trust.
And terms apply.
The Drive is live with TKras on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. The Final Drive.
Well, a lot of Buccaneer fans, they're freaking out. Liam Cohen, he's leaving. We can't let him leave, so we have to fire Bowles for no apparent reason just so we can keep Liam Cohen. Take a deep breath and calm down. Yes, Liam Cohen is an innovator. Yes, he has propelled this offense, and if he leaves, goodbye and good luck. You can't stop him. I'm sure the Glazers will try and throw some money at him, but being a head coach in the NFL is an honor. There's only 32 of these jobs, so if he gets an opportunity and he leaves, do not get mad. Do not panic. The Bucs are loaded with talent. Franchise quarterback, tremendous O-line, tremendous running game, really good receivers, really deep tight end room. And let me tell you, there will not be a shortage of candidates to be the next offensive coordinator of the Buccaneers if Liam Cohen does leave because A, they've got talent, and B, as we've seen in recent memory, being OC of the Bucs is a fast track to being a head coach in the NFL, so they will get a quality guy if and when Liam Cohen does leave, so calm down.
The Final Drive.
Excuse me for injecting some sensibility into this conversation. You freaking people. Speaking of which, tomorrow, a huge show. Football Friday. I'm so excited. We'll be on the air for 4 hours. We've got, yes, sir. So is this the last Beat the Amateur?
I think it is.
I thought I saw that.
I think it is our final one. So
yeah,
I've got to call the contestant first thing tomorrow morning, and he'll be ready to rock. I'm sure of it.
Oh, yeah, it should be exciting. It's exciting. It is exciting. So we got Beat the Pro. We've got Scott Reynolds at 4:30. And then at 5 o'clock, we've got the happy hour. The 5 o'clock happy hour. We're going to do this every Friday. Ronnie Lane, my partner in crime for many, many years. He's going to be back. He's going to be with me in studio for a whole hour on Fridays from 5 until 6. And even if Ronnie wants to stay beyond that, that's up to him. I mean, he can do whatever he wants. He's Ronnie Lane. The house. Yes, drinks will be on the house tomorrow. It's going to be very, very special. It's going to be special. And we got mailbag while Ronnie is here. That's going to be epic. Pigskin Pick'em, NFL picks. It's going to be extraordinary. We'll have our wild card picks for this weekend. That includes Bucs and Commanders. So a huge Football Friday show coming your way tomorrow. Mike is in Tampa. Our final call. What's going on, Mike?
Hey, agree with you when you talk to Rick Stroud about the turnovers being one of the keys to the game, but I think the other big key is penalties. Last week they had penalties that put them in long third downs and stuff. They got to stay away from that. If they do that, that's going to be another plus.
I'm with you, Mike. 12 penalties last week, and I appreciate the phone call, buddy. That was way too many penalties. Way too many. Yeah, it was right. I mean, gosh, just a head scratcher in that category. But thankfully, halftime, again, there was some furniture moving, made some adjustments. Second half, the Saints had 61 yards in the second half. Bucs held them 3 points. They came back. They won the game. They got Mike the record, and that's all that matters. So great job, everybody who listened in, who texted in, tweeted in, whatever.
Even Sincerely Guy? Great job to him, too.
No, not a great job.
Not at this time, right?
Tom Brady can do both. You know, that shows what an idiot you are and how you don't understand protocol. But, you know, it's not a badge of honor, by the way, to be mentioned in the same sentence as idiot. All right, Orange Bowl is coming up next. Penn State, Notre Dame, college football semifinal. You can hear all the play-by-play right here. Great job, Chris Mathis. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 3 o'clock for a Football Friday. You're dismissed.
Come on, get out of here.
You guys are high on